Hello, hello. Can you guys hear me okay? So, today we're going to be talking about the Capricorn new moon, and it's happening on the 18th in the US or the 19th if you're in the UK or Australia, I should say. So, what is this Capricorn new moon about? Well, I wish I could pull up my chart. Is there a way to do that? I don't think so. Ooh, maybe. Let's see if it lets me do it. Um, Here, I'll show you guys. Okay. Yay, this is so cool. Okay. So here's the chart for the Capricorn new moon. I'm just gonna minimize my own window. Hopefully you guys can still see this. But essentially what we're looking at is the stellium in Capricorn, which a stellium is going to be 3 or more planets. In this case, we have 4: Mars, Mercury, Sun, and Moon. And then we also have Venus and Pluto in Aquarius. So when we have a Capricorn stellium, what we can expect is there to be, in some ways, a type of pressure that we put on ourselves. In this instance, the pressure could feel like we are having lots of things to do. We could be really busy. The pressure could be associated with having a lot of responsibility. But this is an interesting Capricorn new moon because it has qualities that are kind of antithetical to Capricorn and Saturn, and that is the fact that Mars and Mercury are together and Venus and Pluto are together. So basically, what I think we're going to start to find during this new moon is that people might act from a more impulsive place, a very revealing place. Venus and Pluto are very commonly associated with the uh, are very commonly associated with like showing some kind of truth or exposing something, being honest about something. So I think that people could be quite frank right now, especially with Mercury and Mars together. People could be assertive, people could be direct. And the danger of this new moon is that people could be quite pushy and demanding. And normally, I think Capricorn can be quite reserved and in control of themselves. But the downside of Capricorn is to also be a little bit of a bulldozer, like a leader that has a lot of power that can kind of take over the situation and impose their will. So that is one of the potential negative effects of this new moon is to have kind of a clash of wills or to have a like maybe one person imposing something on another person. Mercury and Mars together can also represent having some sort of conflict or argument, or again, just being very direct and assertive with people. So, all these things can bring up a lot within our relationships, especially because with Venus and Pluto together, like I mentioned, there is an exposing type of energy with Venus and Pluto where secrets or things that have been left unsaid are often going to be addressed. Things that are shadowy or dark or hidden about the relationship can come to light. Pluto is also highly involved with triangulated relationships. So when there's more than one person involved. So the Venus Pluto conjunction can speak to multiple parties being involved or there kind of being some messy relational messiness. And Venus and Mars can represent, or sorry, Mercury and Mars together can represent calling out some of that messiness or exposing some of that messiness in a certain way. So, yeah, I definitely think that part of this new moon is here for us to stand up potentially against an existing force, an existing institution, to defend our beliefs. And part of the reason I say that is because, well, you can't see it because my video. Can I move my video? No. this new moon is making a trine to Uranus, which is right underneath my video. And there's something rebellious about Uranus and then very traditional about a Capricorn new moon. So there's something here where we are either going to see our institutions and, traditional places like our government acting in unusual ways, or we are meant to, as individuals, stand up and fight for our own beliefs that may contradict an existing institution or precedent that is set, or maybe just people. So there's something here about kind of pushing back, but being aware of where there might be too much pushiness or too much judgment or too much self-righteousness or kind of demanding energy that we might impose on others. So in some ways I think we're meant to kind of stand up for something right now, and in other ways we are meant to be careful in how we go about that so that we are not overbearing, because we could also be the problem. Some people might be overbearing against us and we have to kind of, again, defend ourselves, and vice versa. So okay, I want to also apologize because I'm feeling a little bit lightheaded the last week. So if I am a little bit out of it, that's part of the reason. Something's going on with my health. I don't know what. But yeah, I think this is a time where we're meant to be really honest with people. And I think it could allow us to come to some kind of reconciliation. The whole purpose of a Capricorn new moon is to build upon the foundation of something, but there is something about the foundation that is not right. And this Capricorn new moon may expose that and have us try to rebuild in certain ways or fix the issue around certain things. Um, if you guys are, if anyone's here, I see a couple of people here. If you want to drop in the chat any questions you have or anything like that, or anything you're going through, I always find that really helpful. So yeah, I think that one of the dangers about this new moon is to be rash and impatient. I actually just had something this morning. I was texting a friend and she didn't answer one of my questions, and I immediately responded to her and was like, "Why aren't you answering my question?" Which is really unlike me. If you know me, I'm not confrontational in general. But this new moon is right on my moon. And so I was really feeling the influence of the impatience and the demanding, pushy energy of this new moon already. And I was like, where is this coming from? Why am I being like this? So, but it's coming from something further, like with deeper roots, right? It wasn't just in that immediate moment. It was something that I've been feeling. So I think that there's something to this. You might get these kind of immediate emotional reactions to things, but then there's something deeper there. And this can pertain to any area of our life. But for many of us, with this being a Capricorn new moon, it will likely somehow be associated with potentially some kind of like hierarchy or institution or authority figure or boss. You witness this. Yeah. Yeah. So our bosses could be treating us like that. You might just notice that people in power are less patient, or people who have strong Capricorn, like me, who is Capricorn moon. I think it's a time for us to look at our own leadership and look at the people we give power to, because they might be just have a greater propensity to abuse that power or to somehow take advantage of that power, because of the intensity of this energy, and if there is already an issue with them. So looking at the way that we use our power in our leadership, and again, the people that we empower. And I think that this also kind of relates to what's going on in Venezuela. I think that, you know, I don't want to get super into politics, but Trump was definitely acting without precedent in certain ways. And I think that has to deal with this Capricorn moon making a trine to Uranus. There's some kind of um, behavior that is different than what is normal, right? That is breaking the bounds of what we traditionally expect from our leaders. And there's a very aggressive and assertive and pushy energy to this new moon. So, again, I think that kind of comes across as we literally went into another country and removed their president. I mean, if that's not, or I don't know if you call him president, but anyway, that's kind of that's a great example of being pushy, right? Of pushing your will. Not to say that anyway, no, I don't have any opinions on that I want to get into, but yeah. So ultimately, I think that we're going to have, just to recap, I think we're going to have a lot of priorities right now. We might feel like we're juggling a lot of things. It could feel quite overwhelming, especially when it comes to family or responsibility for our finances or for our loved ones or, yeah, anything like that. I think we're going to have a lot on our plate in terms of trying to balance it all. I think we need to look at our leadership, our government powers, our bosses, people that we put in charge, and we may need to challenge them in certain ways and defy them or stand up to them. But we have to be careful because there's a very pushy and demanding energy that can come from either side. So we want to make sure that we're doing this from a healthy place. We can be quite impatient, and we could also be exposing quite a lot right now around the truths and the lies, and we need to be careful, not to be like self-righteous or lacking self-awareness at this time, because it'll be really easy for us to also fall into the same problems that we see others doing that we might be calling out. Part of the difficulty of this new moon is that the ruler. Yay, I'm so glad I caught you guys. Good morning. Part of the difficulty of this new moon is that the ruler Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn is Saturn, and it's conjunct Neptune. And Neptune is prone to illusions. And so there's part of this new moon where we might not see things totally clearly, and we could be acting quite rash, or we could have really strong feelings, or we could come to kind of immediate conclusions that might not be accurate because of the influence of Neptune. So I think it's best at this time not to not stand up for certain things, but I think to really trust our intuition and to make sure that we are checking in with our higher selves about the things that we're fighting for or standing up for, the things that we're thinking, because ultimately, this Neptune, if it's coming from an unhealthy place, can create a sort of delusion around the situation, or and not make us see our own responsibility with things, and whatnot. So it's important to have that self-awareness right now. So, okay. I guess that was a really, really fast overview. Does anyone have any questions about the new moon before we start hopping into the signs? And if you don't have questions about the new moon, I'd love to hear from you about what your 2026 has been like. Okay. So, how do I? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing this. Woo! All right, cool. Um Obviously I don't have a ton of experience live, so this is cool to get to try out with you guys. All right. So, let's start off with Aries. So, 13, 15. Just one sec. And if you're Aries, or have any plants in Aries, let me know in the chat if what you do. Taurus rising, I just moved back to a place I was living in 2021. Interesting. Um, hmm. I wonder if this has to do with the fact that Uranus is moving into Gemini permanently. What called you back to an old place that you used to live in? That's super interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with Aries rising. Or yeah, I lost my job 12/15. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think that's I really think that's going to be the case for a lot of people, unfortunately. But as Saturn Neptune moves in Aries, I do wonder if we have an opportunity to like do things on our own a little bit more, almost like a promotion of entrepreneurship, but it doesn't even just have to be like traditional entrepreneurship. You move back for community, a relationship, yoga. I love yoga. Also community. That's great. Yeah. So, Alyssa says, I have Aries moon. Okay, amazing. So you'll benefit from this next one. Divine intervention. It felt right. I know. I feel like the people who are going to lose their jobs are going to be redirected maybe into a path that they wouldn't have gone on their own. Yoga ninth house question mark. That's a good question. I mean, exercise is more like the sixth house, but I never really thought about the connection to spirituality could be connected to the ninth house. Jennifer Potter says Libra rising, Taurus sun finally went on a date. How did it go, Jennifer? Better than me. I've been beyond single and it's really frustrating. Unschooly, I have too much on my plate due to my small kid and I'm having to focus on work and I'm a Capricorn ascendant. Yeah, so this is a really, I wouldn't say heavy time, but I would say it could feel like a lot of burden. I do wonder with that trine to Uranus if there's something that you can do to like innovate the way that you go about things or even like your schedule. If there's a way that you can kind of change things around to be maybe more efficient or to have more flow. That trine with Uranus to me says we have a structure that would benefit from an update. That's kind of how I see that. And as a Capricorn rising unschooly, you would benefit from that personally in a big way. Cordelia says, Gemini rising, Pisces sun. I just want to drop the extra weight and succeed in my career. It feels like so many struggles internally and externally. Okay. I relate to that a lot. Well, I think you're about to drop a lot of weight when Saturn moves out of your sign, Cordelia, because having a Pisces sun and then Saturn in that and Neptune in that sign for so long now, I mean for years, it's been really heavy. So you're going to really take off, I think, once these planets move into Aries. It's very mobilizing, whereas Saturn being in your sign just adds a lot of weight and pressure and kind of slows you down. So Jay says, I've been doing art on the side and it's taking off. That's amazing. Yeah, that's so amazing. Yes, it's a schedule problem. Can't sleep. Yeah. Oh my gosh, girl, you gotta sleep. Scorpio rising, Cancer sun, Aries in the 5th and 6th and Mars. Amazing. Okay, so then you'll Aries in the 5th and 6th of Mars. Okay. Yeah. So I do like to watch other signs when I have planets in that sign. And this is a little complicated for people who are maybe beginning, but so like let's say if I had an Aries Mars. Oh my gosh, Cordelia, thank you so much. You did not have to send me that. I appreciate that. But yeah, if you have a planet in a sign, then you can look at that. I mean, this Aries Mars isn't a good example because of. Let me try to think of another one. Let's say that you are. Okay, I'll just say, like for example, I have my Mercury in Cancer. My Mercury is the ruler of my 10th house, so it's my career planet because your 10th house is your career house. So I will sometimes watch my Cancer rising videos to understand specifics around my career trajectory at that time. So it could be helpful to watch the sign associated with the planet when just looking at that particular area of life that it rules in your chart. So if you know kind of the rulerships and all that, it can be helpful. Jay says, Saturn has been on my moon and the inflammation and weight and looking utterly miserable. Totally feel that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I gained so much weight as Saturn because I have a Pisces descendant. So Saturn was opposing. Me too, Cordelia. Thank you so much. But yeah, Saturn was opposing my ascendant, and I gained a lot of weight during that time. The most I've ever weighed right now. But now that Saturn's moving into Aries, I feel motivated to get out of it. Okay, let's move on to Aries. If you guys have any questions or comments, I'd still love to chat about your charts and whatnot. Okay, so hey, so glad I caught you live. Jody says, I have natal Cancer, Sun, Mercury, midheaven, and Jupiter, Neptune, Capricorn. I also have Aries, Moon. Okay, perfect. So you're going to benefit from this Aries one. Unschooly says, thank you. Now I know what the problem is, which is not having a schedule. I believe fixing this would help me. Yeah. And I think also changing the schedule. I mean, obviously having a schedule would be helpful, but like maybe doing it in a way that isn't so regimented according to society, because with this new moon trining Uranus, it's almost beneficial to think about the individual. So what is my specific when do I work best? What and whatnot. Like, how do I make this schedule fit me as an individual? Jay says it's hard. I don't even think it's habitual. I think it's inflammation and karma. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I know. I think oftentimes when Saturn opposes our ascendant or is on our ascendant, on our moon, or on our sun, we can get a lot of stress and go through certain hardships in our life. And that's often when we get unhealthy or gain weight. We'll have to get you some volunteer monitors. Yeah. Um, Jody, I have natal cardinal square. Will this intensify or lessen the energy? The Capricorn new moon, I would think is intense. So I think it will intensify the existing energy, frankly. Um, if you missed the overview, I think part of what's so intense about this new moon is Venus, Pluto, and Mars, Mercury, and this can be quite pushy and aggressive placements. So it can make things feel like people like there's just a lot of pressure and people are quite demanding at this time, or maybe you are with yourself. Okay, let's get into Aries, and you guys can feel free to continue in the chat, and I'll come back to that once we get through Aries. So Aries, for you, this Capricorn new moon is taking place in your 10th house. So let me pull some cards. What do we have for Aries spirit? What's the advice for Aries? And then what can they expect? Interesting. Okay. So, first of all, having a Capricorn new moon in the 10th, I think that you guys could experience some of the aggressiveness from authority figures the most, or where you need to be more assertive in your career or stand up to somebody who maybe is in their authority, um, or who has some kind of power over you. If that is the case, you may need to kind of push back, or you may need to like make your mark on the world and have some kind of like not aggressive thing, but you guys might need to not stand down when it comes to something that may challenge you in some respect. It could be a path, like a long path ahead. It could be coming up with a strategy, a plan. It could be dealing with existing people and authorities again. And one of the cards that came out for you was she who prepares, formulates strategy, and devise. So can you guys see this? Yeah. So yeah, I think part of what you're being asked to do right now is come up with a long-term plan. Capricorn is very much about longevity, right? It's about 10 years or 2 years down the line at least, rather than what am I doing this month? So there's something here where you need to think about legacy, purpose, and again, longevity to some degree at the time of this new moon and formulate a strategy. However, the way that you go about it, I think, should be done from a spiritual lens because the ruler of this new moon is Saturn, and Saturn is conjunct Neptune in your 12th in Pisces. So the plan that you make, it needs to feel inspirational. It needs to come from a place from your dreams, from your soul, from your higher self. It shouldn't just be this kind of mental strategy or practical strategy. I think it needs to feel from a spiritual plane correct for you. So however you go about that, maybe meditating, maybe asking your guides, pulling cards, but there needs to be some element of the esoteric, I think, or the higher self involved that is beyond the material plane. Because yes, we want to make the plan in the material plane, but it shouldn't be derived from that, if that makes sense, almost like the source comes from somewhere else. This new moon is also trining Uranus in your second. So you guys might need to be thinking about different ways of making money or using money and your physical resources to propel you into your future. So if you've been thinking about, I don't know, I just feel like you guys need to innovate your plan and your strategy for your career and your finances, and you may need to do something that pushes the envelope, that pushes back against maybe what's expected from you or what you've been previously doing or what other people are trying to influence you to do. So yeah, there's something around that I feel like you guys need to be mindful of. So I asked what's going to be happening for you, and I got the Chariot in reverse, which is interesting because this is a card that is associated with Cancer, which is a sign opposite of Capricorn. Um, yeah, so I almost feel like if you have been, we have Jupiter in Cancer, and this could speak to Jupiter being Cancer. Um, but if you have been with Jupiter in Cancer, if you've been kind of like flowing and really trusting your emotions and whatnot. I think that it's important right now to come up with a more steadfast plan. I think Jupiter in Cancer is really beneficial for you guys. Maybe you've been focusing a lot on your home. Maybe you've been yeah, I mean, because that's where it is. Jupiter's in your fourth house. So maybe that's where you've been putting your energy into potentially, like your home, your sense of security. But I think we need to be thinking more about your external life, your long term legacy on the whole world, and these things that will require you to, at times, show up even when you don't feel like it. This might seem like it's against what I said earlier about devising a plan from your intuition. I don't think it is, though. I think that your emotions and your intuition are not necessarily the same thing. So, yeah, it's almost like fuck your mood, do it anyway kind of thing. Um, there might be something going on now with that because when this card is upright, it speaks to our willpower and us feeling like we know, like we're all in alignment. Our masculine and feminine is in alignment and we're just moving towards what we want uninhibited. But I think that there's something here with this Jupiter being in Cancer opposite this Capricorn new moon. You might at times feel pulled between your masculine and feminine, between your rest and your family and your nurturing and your emotions versus your long-term plan and your goals and your impact and your legacy and the promises you made to yourself in the world. So if you feel pulled between that, this new moon is here to help you potentially figure that out. With the Ace of Swords in reverse, um, let me pull a clarifier on this because usually when the Ace of Swords is upright, it speaks to an idea, but there might be some idea that has you kind of stuck in a lack mentality or that has you stuck in lack with the 5 of Pentacles in reverse. But I think you're meant to get unstuck from that at this new moon. So, yeah, I think that this is largely to deal with, again, maybe creating I just think it has a lot to do with that balancing of the masculine and feminine. There's something about that that isn't working, and it's associated with potentially some kind of like belief system right now that you have, or some kind of idea that you have right now. So there needs to be maybe a potential reframing happening here, especially around lack. If something has left your life, if you've lost resources with this new moon trining Uranus in the second, if there's been instability around money or resources or worry about that, I think that you might need to reframe that because that could potentially be linked to some energy leaking and contributing to you actually not moving forward as quickly. Your advice is to have the King of Cups and the 5 of Swords. So let me pull another clarifier for the 5 of Swords. Yeah, there's the 4 of Swords in reverse. Yeah. It's interesting to have the 4 of Swords come out because I'm speaking about rest. And I was saying that like maybe you will think that, oh, I really need to rest. I need to take care of myself right now. But I almost wonder if that could be taking away from your plan in certain ways. Because part of your advice is the 4 swords in reverse. So I think that getting really clear on what your priorities are will help you. The 5 of swords upright in this moment is making me think about someone eliminating something. So some of you guys, those who are Aries, you might have something to cut out right now, um, especially to strategize about because your planetary ruler Mars is conjunct Mercury in Capricorn, and so it's very involved in this new moon. So there's something about this moon that really wants you guys to come up with a very good plan, and that might mean cutting certain things out so you have better balance because there's something that's imbalanced right now between like your rest and your work or your rest and your play and your um seriousness. Like there's something about that that's imbalanced. And I think it might come from either fear of lack, or there was lack or something that's maybe either pushing you too hard or the opposite, and you're resting a lot and you're kind of sabotaging certain um, successes. So there's something about this where I think that you guys, again, you might need to come up with a greater plan to eliminate certain things, to cut certain things out, and hone in on the things that really, really work. So, like the 80-20 rule, like when you plant a bunch of plants in the garden, like they're not going to all take off, right? And so it's almost you can initially water all of them, and then you start to really see which ones thrive in that environment, and then you can put a lot more nutrients and attention to those plants, and maybe even take out the other plants because they're competing for nutrients in the soil and space and everything in the garden if they're close to the other plant. So it's almost like water everything equally. And then I think at a certain point, you will start to notice what is working the best and go all in on that. And with the King of Cups, I think you will know intuitively what those things are. And I think they will also feel good as well. Um, it's almost like do more of the things that I want, that you love doing, so that it doesn't feel like you have to kind of I don't know, like, let me give an example. Let's say, like, you want to start working out more, you wanna lose weight, but you keep forcing yourself to go to these HIIT classes that are really intense, and it's just not it doesn't suit you, or maybe it does as an Aries. Um, and it's like, instead of, like, I could see you guys being at home and being like, "Well, I don't wanna go to this HIIT class today. Like, I think I should take care of myself. My emotions are telling me not to go." But it's like, maybe if you had a more inspiring workout that you really loved, you would show up more. So there's might be a better way to do something, is essentially what I'm seeing. To do something that you love a little bit more, to go all in on that thing, to cut out the things that maybe allow you to make excuses to fall back into rest. That's kind of there's something about that I'm seeing. I think it's having a greater plan or strategy. So let's see what you guys are saying. So I'm a Cap ascendant with Saturn retrograde in the second house. Capricorn North Node. People we count on is second house too. People we count on is second house. Um, Can you explain your reasoning behind that? Second house is your body, possessions, your money. Eighth house is other people's resources. Yeah, I mean, your first house is the body. So I wouldn't count necessarily the body as a second house. Maybe like food, though, like how you support the body. So yeah, I think that this is your overall message. I think Aries rising, there is a need to have a long-term plan right now, and to not just like go with your moods, because I think your moods are swaying you, but in certain ways to make it easiest for you to have the best mood doing what you're doing. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. If anyone has Aries, do you have any questions about that, or like personal experiences that you're going through? Because I'd love to hear. I also wonder for Aries rising if you are going to have some kind of social issues at this time, because Venus and Pluto being conjunct in your 11th can absolutely relate to having some friendship issues or issues with like community or even people online. So I'd be curious if you guys are having anything like that going on. And it may be a time where, again, maybe you have to stand up for something or expose something. That message holds true for all of the groups. So yeah, hopefully this is clear. I feel pretty out of it today. Hi, Courtney. Hope you're doing good. And thank you so much for doing these amazing reads. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. Okay. So, I meant to be writing these down. So 34, 20. Okay. So let's go on to Taurus. So Taurus, this Capricorn new moon for you is in your 9th house. So as a Taurus, you're an earth sign, and Capricorn is also an earth sign, which, if you know some fundamentals of astrology, when you have the same element in a new moon or full moon, it's going to make a trine to your sign or to your ascendant. So there is a little bit more of an uplifting positive impact when a new moon makes a trine, or at the very least, it has an uninhibited flow of energy. So there's something about this Capricorn new moon for my Tauruses that may feel more useful in certain ways. More, yeah, like you might be able to tap into the energy in a way that is easy and helpful for you, essentially. So, what do we have for what's happening for Taurus risings, Spirit? What's happening at this for Taurus risings for this Capricorn new moon? And then what is the advice for them? Interesting. I keep getting so many reversals. What is going on? Okay. So having a new moon in the ninth house, this can be very good for people who are in school. Like this is a really good time for those who are studying or who are teachers or something like that to create some kind of plan. I mean, Capricorn's always about creating a plan to some degree, to get organized, to get productive, that type of thing. But let me see. So what's happening for this new moon? We got the Hermit and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. Why does it seem like so much of these readings are associated towards eliminating something? Because that was something that I was getting for Aries. But the Hermit and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse also feels that way. So anyone here, Taurus rising? Oh, thank you, Jody. Not the entire body, throat, neck, mouth, tongue, teeth. Yeah. So yes. Okay. So sorry, I'll come back to that question, Jody. Okay. So is anyone here Taurus? I'd love to hear. But there's something here. I mean, a new moon in the ninth and the Hermit card to me makes so much sense because the element of the ninth house is a lot of spiritual purpose and getting to know oneself on the spiritual plane. And that to me is the Hermit card. It's a lot of like inner searching and trying to understand oneself around something. So searching for an answer, trying to seek something out. That's what this new moon in the ninth is always going to represent to some extent. But then what you find is the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. And the Ace of Pentacles in reverse often speaks to a missed opportunity or something that you are saying no to, something that you are divesting in so that you have maybe more space. Let's get a clarifier on this Ace of Pentacles. This new moon is trining Uranus in your first house. So there's something that I think that you are in your inner search, you're meant to be discovering something about yourself that you want to either change or that you want to invest in, like something that will create a feeling of freedom. So what is it about this Ace of Pentacles, Spirit? Any clarifier? And it's interesting because another card that came out was She Who Dreams, Escape, Dream, and Fantasy. So I almost feel like for my Taurus risings, this opportunity at this time isn't just like, oh, I'm going to create a plan, but it's more so, how can I maybe make more room for things that I've always dreamed about? So I think, Jay, I think Jay is the one that's doing your art right now. Yeah. So this actually feels very applicable to you. So maybe your art is something you've dreamt about, or maybe it's always felt like a fantasy, right? Like, oh, that's never going to happen. But there's almost something about this new moon where it's like, how can we make room for that? And the Ace of Pentacles in reverse suggests that something has to leave or had to leave, maybe in your case, in order to make room for this like feeling of dreaming and almost like whimsy, right? So any clarifiers? We have the Knight of Cups. Yeah. So there's something about this where I feel like you're meant to be embracing a feeling of um the Knight of Cups is like I think of this as obviously as a romantic, so maybe this could be related to that. But I see the Knight of Cups largely as somebody who has like an artistic spirit or who is quite um, that follows their heart in that way, right? Like an artist is going to follow their instinct and their heart. So I think that there's something about this cap new moon where my Tauruses are meant to be thinking practically, because Capricorn is always going to have a practical element to some extent, but also thinking kind of wistfully as well, and like fantastically, and in this kind of dream realm of like, what would be the ideal that I could create for myself? And how would I actually do that? Like, what would the realistic real life elements be to get me to that place? So it's like bridging fantasy with reality, which is kind of the definition of Saturn and Neptune conjunct. And as I mentioned, Saturn's the ruler of this moon and it's conjunct Neptune in your 11th. So you might find that there is clarity through other people. When we have the ruler of this in the 11th, you might find that online communities can show you examples of how to do what you want to do. Maybe friends, or maybe there's like a support system that you can rely on in some way where you literally see people living a certain dream that you might want to live. And yeah, if you have your sun in the 12th too, yeah, then it'll be easier for you to tap into this energy already then, because sun in the 12th is often quite intuitive and psychic. So what is your advice? We have the tower in reverse. Wow. Okay, there's so many interesting things. The tower in reverse, you have a lot of like negative cards, but it's for your advice. So tower in reverse, 9 of wands in reverse, and 5 of cups in reverse. So because it's an advice, I don't see it as a bad thing. Let's start with one at a time. So we have tower in reverse. This is about walking away from some kind of foundation. So I find that often when we are in the pursuit of something that feels like a fantasy or like a dream in our life, that there are that we often have to leave behind the foundation that we already have. And it's because our society is really set up in a way to not promote those dreams. It's more so set up in a way to like push people in certain directions that are prescribed. So there's something about this with the tower in verse where you guys might need to pull out of an existing structure, an existing institution, an existing expectation or belief system, something like that where it's kind of established. You guys might need to pull out of that in order to tap into something that society would deem is a dream or is fantastical in some way. Because I think that you guys have maybe been with the 9 of wands in reverse and 5 cups in reverse, there's something about what you've been doing that has maybe felt unsustainable and disappointing in certain ways or unfulfilling in certain ways. So the path that you've been on hasn't been working, it has been emotionally taxing in some capacity. And so it's almost like, how do we remove ourselves from that narrative in some way and tap more into the narrative that things can be easy, things can be fun, that we can have this dream, that things like life can be romantic. There's something about that you guys are meant to be cultivating right now. Let's see if Spirit has any more messages for you guys. I do think, though, this could be a somewhat challenging new moon only because your planetary ruler, Venus, is conjunct Pluto. So I could almost see that you guys might be really Pluto, I find, again, very domineering. So you might, with Venus conjunct Pluto in your 10th, you might find that there is still really strong influence from external institutions or like society's expectations or these pressures from like our friends and family or whatever, maybe comparison, but there might be a lot of that can go on that can influence you right now and it could get in your head. So anything about that, Spirit? Does anyone here have anything they want to share about Taurus sun or rising? She who calms. Yeah, stillness, purity, and quiet. Yeah, I think that part of the calm energy that you can find is going to be through specific communities and people that represent the dream or the fantasy that you want to live. So instead of having to I don't know, I feel like you could be feeling a lot of pressure from, like, society's expectations when you try to pursue certain things or when you dream about certain things, and it's like, what if you could find examples of people living that life, and you could find a sense of calm by seeing that it's possible. Um, so yeah, I don't know, I think that you guys okay, just to recap for Taurus, with this new moon in the ninth, um, you have the Hermit and the Ace of Pentacles, so some soul searching after maybe an opportunity fell through or maybe soul searching that you need to stop something that you're already doing. So I could be either one of those. Invest more in the fantasy of what you want out of your life in a certain way and be willing to leave behind maybe difficult beliefs, mindsets, or ways of doing things that make you feel disappointed, but that are largely linked to how other people do things or what people tell you to do. You guys with this Uranus in your first trining this new moon, you need to live life in a very free way. That means that you can't just take this kind of prescription and just follow what other people are doing. There has to be some element of you realizing what as an individual is best for you. And this tower in reverse suggests that there may be certain structures that people and society put in place or people expect of you that you have to not buy into. Like, let's say, for example, you want to start dating and you've had a couple fails with your dating life. Well, maybe everybody meets people online on these apps and you're like, well, everyone does it online, so I have to meet someone online. But maybe that's not what works for you. And it doesn't feel good for you. And so maybe you have to go and find a unique way of meeting somebody that is against the common narrative. So something like that, where you are meant to break free from what people are doing in order to create more of this fantasy element. So Jody, all my houses are Capricorn. Okay, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Do you mean all your planets are Capricorn? Um, Jody says, I feel like it's going to be transformational, especially for Taurus and Libra rising with the Venus conjunct Pluto. Maybe hard at first, but a blessing in disguise. Yeah, I'm really glad that you said that, Jody. I think that the Pluto element, like I mentioned, Pluto is very exposing. So I think that Pluto can be exposing of our inner world where we could be holding ourselves back, where we can be influenced by others, where we could have fears. Pluto's a lot about fear. We might not realize that there's actually quite a lot of like fears or maybe shadows that kind of haunt us in certain ways and influence us to act or not act in certain ways. So I think that it could be very revealing about our inner nature. And I think that really speaks to the hermit. But I think it also can deal with the influence of other people where we might not realize where they kind of get in our head. Libra rising here, I've had for a while this wait, I've had for a while this conjuncting will kick off time for Venus rule people. It was someone else that said the houses are in Capricorn. Yeah. Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, perfect. So if anyone else has anything to say about Taurus, feel free. You can ask questions as well or have your own comments. But yeah, let's go ahead and do Gemini. So 48:33. So I just write the time codes because otherwise I have to go back and rewatch this whole video. So far, I don't hate the Pluto conjunctions. You must have some Scorpio. um, when people like the Pluto, I mean, I will say Pluto is often beneficial in a very long term of things. Um, because if something is like, let's say, for example, Pluto in the body relates to toxicity that needs to leave the body. You want to expose that toxicity. You want to get rid of it because it will make you sick. So Pluto is extremely necessary. So it's like, for example, it's related to puking or just the elimination channels even. So if you got really, if you got food poisoning or if you have something that is hurting your health, yeah, you want Pluto to come in there and remove it. And I think that's a lot of what's happening now. It's like, what is it that you need to remove to believe more in this dream that you have. So it's really positive, but also nobody likes puking, right? Nobody likes to puke. So the actual act of it is not fun, but the result in the end, once you've settled and you feel better a few weeks later, is like very good. Okay. So Gemini. So Gemini, this Cap new moon is in your 8th house. Okay, no wonder why I've been having such a weird time. Yeah. So, and then the ruler of this moon, Saturn, is in your 10th, conjunct Neptune. Okay, so Spirit, what's happening for my Geminis? What is this Capricorn new moon doing for my Geminis? And then what's their advice, Spirit? Does anyone here have Gemini? Yeah, there's something that really wants to end for you guys. We got 2 ending cards, so I was like, okay. She who instigates leadership, provocation, and power. Yeah, do we have any Geminis in the chat? Okay. Couple of messages. Grateful music, healthy life. Gemini rising. It's Maureen. Oh, hi, Maureen. I'm not loving the Pluto conjunctions. I can't sleep at all. Stomach is off. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Do you know what house this is in place for? Or Gemini rising? So Venus and Pluto as a Gemini rising is in your 9th house. Interesting. I wonder why that's making your stomach off. Yeah, me. It says, I like Pluto trines my sun, moon, and Mars. Yeah. Emotional purging since I've started therapy. Absolutely. I know. It's like a good cry. Like nothing feels better than a good cry. My sleep has been bad. Anxiety right as I go to sleep. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I know. I've been having some weird health stuff too. I don't know what is going on. I wonder if it's related to the new moon in the 8th. I don't know. I'm not really sure. Usually when I think of ill health, I think of like something with the 6th, the 12th, the 1st, maybe even the 7th. Been slacklining mode for quite some time now. On slacklining mode. What's slacklining mode? Isn't that like that thing where you are walking on the tightrope? Deeply in love with the Gemini sun and rising. We've been apart since 2023. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, so what's going on for Gemini? So new moon in the 8th. There's it's an interesting message. I feel like I keep getting around each sign that there's something that we might need to like cut away or walk away from. It's really common to have that during a new moon with Mars there because Mars literally rules knives. It literally rules cutting people off or ending things. Saturn is also really related to that as well. And of course, Saturn rules this moon. So there's something about this new moon that I think is thematically speaking to us needing to restore balance by leaving something. I mean, that's literally what I see as the advice for my Geminis is restore balance. And then the 10 of swords is like the ending of something. So it could just be that something has already ended and you just need to accept that it has ended. Maybe it's that you still need to walk away. Maybe you still have some thoughts about something that's already happened, or you need to make peace with something that's already happened. But yeah, the advice for this new moon for my Geminis is to, again, restore balance through ending a chapter and like fully closing out a chapter and deciding to move into a new one. So a new moon in the 8th can also represent what we get as like the new moons represent a new beginning, but the 8th is often about ending something. So it can represent what we get because we ended something or what we get because we faced the fear and the discomfort and the emotions of something that has already left our lives. Yeah, processing that processing something almost. I feel like this new moon is associated with that. So the ruler of this moon for our Geminis is in the 10th. So we have Saturn in the 10th conjunct Neptune. I'm gonna hold on that one because I don't know. When I think about that, I think of something that we thought was going to be maybe a part of our future, and then now it's not, or maybe it's something that we are walking away. We have the opportunity to end something and it changes almost like the next path. Um, okay, I'm gonna leave that there because I feel a lack of clarity there. Okay, so what's going to happen for my Gemini rising? So we have Judgment in reverse. We have Eight of Cups. We have 10 of Wands in reverse and Nine of Cups in reverse. Why is every card coming out in reverse? I don't know what is going on. Um, so, okay. Sorry, I was just reading the chat. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I really, okay. I don't want to give a lot about other people, but I do know somebody who's a Gemini rising who recently experienced a loss. And this very much kind of feels in line with that, this new moon. Not to say that we're all experiencing losses. I don't think that that's the case necessarily, but there's almost like how to rebuild after walking away from something is kind of a theme of this eighth house new moon, especially because it trines Uranus in the 12th. There's something about like really trusting and releasing control that can come up right now. And having to sometimes like have our faith tested in moments of transitions where we're like, okay, normally maybe I would have fear around here and try to control this or make this thing happen. It's like, where can we maybe just let off the let off the wheel or whatever in some type of way in life and let things fall into place or let spirit have a little bit more of a say. Um so I think that part for my Gemini risings, whenever we have a new moon the 8th, I find that it's often very psychological. So there could be things like you guys mentioned anxiety. You mentioned issues with sleep. I mean, that might be related to this new moon trining Uranus in the 12th, and the 12th house is the house of sleep. So there could be things that just dysregulate us a little bit and maybe some fears as well, but it's it's here for us to like move past them essentially. It's part of what this new moon is about. It's a period I think of integration and largely through I think trusting that the things that we don't have control over are going to work themselves out. So we have to kind of experience that fear, that anxiety or whatever to move through it to get to a place of trust and peace. Um so okay, so we have the Judgment in reverse and the 8 of Cups. I almost feel like also if you are walking away from something or if you're trying to um sorry, I'm reading the chat. If you're walking away from something or if something is like transitioning out of your life or if yeah, if you're in an uncomfortable like phase of yeah, transition from one thing to another to like I think that it could be easy to judge ourselves in this process. So part of this new moon, I think the advice is to, I mean, this isn't really meant to be the advice, but we might find that we could be harsher with ourselves or with others. And so this new moon, we're meant to be trying to strip that back and not be judgmental of the process of this transition. Is any Gemini here in the midst of a transition? I'm curious because this might not apply to everybody. I wonder if Courtney put a new video helps on your life. Aw. Um, that must be Zoe because I recognize your username anyway. I love your tarot deck. Which one is it? I honestly don't even know. I'll have to look at that. Hey Zoe, I was just talking about you. Sorry. Um, okay. Okay, so we have the 10 of Wands in reverse and 9 of Cups in reverse. So sorry guys. I feel like I'm literally gonna pass out. I don't know what's going on with my health today. Um so yeah, okay, I think we're transitioning out of something. Something is definitively ending. We're not meant to judge ourselves in that process of transition. The 10 of Wands in reverse, I feel like we're here to lay down the anxiety, to lay down the worries. I think I am, but fighting the need to change. Yeah. Have a water break, Courtney. We can wait. Yeah. Okay. I'll have a sip of water. I'm not sure. If I die on live, you guys can notify the authorities in Scotland. Anyway, the 10 of Wands in reverse. I think that there's been there's then some type of emotional struggle with the 10 of Wands in reverse that I think we can let it down, let that down. With the 9 of Cups in reverse, I think part of the emotional struggle is that maybe there's been something that we really wanted or that we really loved that is not there, or that we really want that is not there. And so it's like working ourselves up into a frenzy around that. Um, this feels kind of like a separate message. So I think the large message here for Gemini is that there is a need now to allow things to come and go from your life, and to have this sense of calm and the sense of trust that even if you are not getting something that you really want, or maybe you lost something that you want or that you love, that you can just allow things to be as they are and not try to control or hold on, or try to force something to happen and fight for what this thing is, that you really want. I almost feel like this is kind of an opposite message of a lot of people, but I just feel like my Geminis, they need a lot more flow right now, rather than a lot of like expectations, or putting pressure on oneself, or feeling the lack of something. And so I think that ultimately, again, this needs to be like a trust the process type of thing for my Geminis. Yeah, we got enlightenment. She who emerges, enlightenment, mindfulness, and rise up. I think that you guys may be going through some kind of interesting transition period where, again, you might have lost something that you love, or you might have, um, or you really want something that isn't there. And I think you're meant to be coming, like looking at this from a place of spiritual enlightenment, which allows you to understand yourself as a soul in the whole context of a lifetime rather than a moment. So maybe something disappoints you now, maybe something's difficult now, or maybe you don't have something that you want now. But in the larger scale of something, can you be patient and recognize that it's all part of a larger divine plan? Because I do think that balance will be restored, but this ending almost like had to take place, or has to take place if there was an ending. Um, so yeah, I don't know if that even makes sense. Is this making sense, guys? um, they're going through all the paperwork, and he's a Gemini. Okay, wait. My future daughter-in-law lives in Scotland. She'll be moving here to Texas. They're doing the paperwork. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Um, yeah. Texas. Scotland's cooler than Texas. No, I like Texas. I actually almost lived there. I was thinking about moving there. Oh, that's interesting that you're talking about that, because Venus and Pluto is in the ninth for my Geminis. So let me just pull like one last card or two around the Venus and Pluto, and then we'll move on to Cancer. I feel like nothing I'm saying makes sense today, and that I might pass out. Okay, let's see. Venus and Pluto for Geminis. So we have the 7 of Pentacles and the 2 of Pentacles. Yeah, okay. This is a very clear message. I feel like this Venus and Pluto for Geminis is talking about to keep working on something that is going to require long-term persistence and effort, and to prioritize with the 2 of Pentacles, to prioritize the like your mental well-being and the like your health in a way, while also trying to move things forward. So like juggling and balancing these two areas. Because I do feel like something is maybe ending or transitioning for my Geminis, or maybe there was a disappointment or some kind of loss, or maybe there's something that you want that you're not getting. There's something like that going on. And I feel like there's a really long game picture in mind for Geminis, where we have to not be attached to each moment, like where things might be disappointing or sad, and instead play the long game and keep consistently working towards what our soul really wants for us, while also juggling maintaining our well-being in that process. So this Venus Pluto to me is almost like this persistence of faith, because it's in the ninth house, where we need to maintain our faith and maintain our connection to spirit, maintain our connection to our higher self and our well-being as we continue this journey. So I hope that does make sense. Um, okay. Oh, okay. I'm so glad it's helpful. That's making sense, Maureen. Um, so okay, I'm not sure what's going on with this conversation with Snick, so I'll just let that be. Okay, so let's move on to Cancer, unless anybody has something that they want to say for Gemini. If you have questions for Gemini, comments for Gemini. Yes, they delayed the process for 8 months. Yeah, and I think that there's something there with that, where with the 7 of Pentacles, things are really slow. So it's like maybe something that you want is going to be slower than you think as a Gemini. And part of this new moon, maybe the healing is slower, something's leaving, maybe something that you want is arriving slower. It's going to be different depending on the person. But I think that the Geminis, they really need to see this as a moment of understanding that, like, this is supposed to be showing us where we don't have control, and it's supposed to be um a moment where our soul almost like has to double down on our faith in the process of life and the universe that has our back. I think that's a large part of what this is about. So it could be like a test of faith in a way, though I don't think it's like a test. It's more so just it's saying to hold on, you can do this, hold on. That's the kind of message I feel like is coming through. Excited for the Cancer reading. Yay. Okay. So Cancer 10648. Can't believe I've been talking for an hour. Okay. So for Cancers, this new moon is in your 7th house, relationships, contracts. So what's going on, Spirit, for Cancers at this Cap new moon? I swear almost every group is getting like mostly reversals. I don't know what's going on. So what's happening for my Cancers? And then what is their advice, Spirit? Oh, interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, just let me pull one more card and then I'll get started. Okay. So Cancer, what's going on for you? New moon in the 7th house, trining Uranus in your 11th. Yeah, I feel like you guys, I'm going to start with the cards. I think that there has been something with the 5 cups in reverse that maybe has disappointed you, especially when it comes to relationships, because obviously this is a new moon in a relationship house, and it's also trining Uranus in a relationship house. So there's something about this where it's like people may have let you down, people may have disappointed you, relationships may have fallen through. I thought this was going to work. I thought I was going to connect with this person and we're going to have this really good da da da, and then this is like, oh, it didn't do that. So this is in the past. Maybe even recent history, I don't know. But there's this vibe of like wanting to let go of that, wanting to let go of animosity, disappointment, hurt, holding grudges. It doesn't, you don't even have to have those things. But with Venus conjunct Pluto in the 8th right now, you might have some of those like feelings come up, those shadowy feelings around people in your life. And so the 5 of Cups is like part of what you're processing right now with the Hermit and the 5 of Cups is looking inward and asking yourself, like, where these emotions might be sticky within you. So let's say, for example, someone in your family said something that really hurt you, or you thought you were going to be good friends with this person and they stopped answering you, or you wanted to go on a date with this person and then they never, and it fell through or it never worked out or whatever. This is like, okay, well, how do we move on from that without holding on to some of the residue, emotional residue of those experiences, and doing kind of the inner searching or inner work around how those past experiences may influence our current reality or our future experiences. So, and I think that this is really largely related to this Venus and Scorpio in the 8th as well, because I think that can dig up a lot of like feelings from the past where like, oh, this person made me feel insecure at this time, or I hated when I felt anxious around X, Y, and Z. So there could be some of that going on. Um, I'm curious if any of my cancers are resonating with this or if you guys have something else that's on your mind right now. But I feel like there's a new way of showing up to relationships that is unencumbered. I almost feel like my cancers have maybe been cautious with their hearts um, because of those past difficulties. Okay, I'm glad you're resonating. Um, yeah, so some of my cancers may have been cautious with their hearts because of past difficulties. And part of your advice is actually to not be like that, which is a lot easier said than done. But we have the Knight of Swords and the Devil in reverse. So you might like the devil is a very sticky energy, just like this emotions that we talked about. So it could be that you kind of limit yourself of like, oh, well, like these people don't care about me or people don't like me. People don't want to hear what I have to say. It's kind of like because difficult things happen with relationships in the past, it almost becomes like a belief system that you can chain yourself to and then you can impose that on the things that like in the future as things move forward, you can impose that belief on it and it can cause you to maybe be very cautious with your heart because you're like, well, they don't want to hear what I have to say anyway, or they're just going to reject me anyway. I mean, this is not the best example because it's probably more nuanced than that. But yeah, there's some type of limiting belief that you can develop as a result of the way that people have treated you in the past. And with the Knight of Swords, I really, and this with this Devil in reverse, I feel like you guys are meant to throw that off, throw the shackles off and be like, fuck those people. That's got nothing to do with me. That's the past is in the past. And the Knight of Swords is somebody who's willing to move uninhibited and quickly towards the things that they want. So, and this also is part of your advice here. She who resists, fearless, justified, and resistant. So I almost feel like if people have treated you a certain way or affected you in a certain way, it's like resist the influence of that and be fearless in your movement towards things that could bring you a lot of happiness in relationships. And I think that this is this beautiful trine to Uranus in your 11th house. It's like, how do we openly embrace new connections? How do we move towards new people? And how do we do that fearlessly without, again, this kind of stuck energy? So, yeah, it makes so much sense. I'm definitely trying to step into this energy of just being me and not holding myself back. Yeah. And I think it's specifically associated with other people. So it's like, where do I worry that other people don't like me or judging me or won't accept me? Or where am I scared to put myself out there? Where am I trying to dim my light to fit in? Or whatever it is. Or maybe, you know, I think that this is almost, I don't want to say take a risk because like it's a Capricorn new moon, but with that trine to Uranus in the 11th, it's almost like maybe there's something that we can do to mix things up to challenge ourselves to kind of put ourselves out there more in some way or take an emotional risk. And that to me speaks to the Venus and Pluto in the 8th, where you could have fears come up, but taking that emotional risk is almost like that Plutonian kind of purging of, I'm not going to be stopped by these fears. Instead, I'm going to show and prove to myself that I can take this emotional risk with somebody and say this thing or be honest about this thing or open up to somebody about this or reach out to somebody or try to go to this event by myself, like this concert by myself. This feels like a very, yeah, that feels very much like the advice, like just uninhibited movement forward and also honesty, straightforwardness, speaking clearly. I think that that's a big part of this as well. So hopefully that felt short, but do you guys have any like questions about that? Oh, I guess I didn't speak to Saturn. The ruler of this moon is conjunct Neptune in the 9th. So this could also just have a lot to deal with um this is also quite spiritual as well. And it's like allowing ourselves to trust in the divine, that if we put ourselves out there, that we're going to be met because the universe wants that for us. But even if we're not, trusting that the rejection is divine protection, because I do think that sometimes we really want something and we're pushing for it, but it's actually not in our best interest. So there's a lot here around having faith that the things that are happening for you, and not to you, especially when it comes to relationships. And I think having that faith is what helps us move quickly past old things, old hurts, because we can understand that it's beyond us. um, so same, I resonate a lot with what you're reading. I'm also letting go of my fears. I feel like a lot of the Pluto transit in Aquarius and 8th house, it feels like I'm freeing myself. Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, Pluto in the 8th is a really big deal. And you guys are just getting started. Don't worry, you're gonna have a lot of time. You're gonna have a lot of time to get associated with that energy. But I think it's going to be really powerful as well. A lot of deep inner work where you're really getting to know kind of all these like crevices of your inner reality, which is really exciting, because then once Pluto emerges into your ninth, it's almost like you can then utilize that level of empowerment and self-awareness, and it's just, imagine knowing all of your fears and knowing everything about yourself in such a deep way that it's like no one can really get to you because you already know all these aspects of you, right? No one can undermine you because you have already explored all those depths and shadows. Okay, so now let's talk about Leo 11632. I don't know. I felt like that was really fast for you, Cancer, but that felt also clear. Okay, so for Leo, this Cancer new moon, Cancer, Jesus. This Capricorn new moon is in your 6th house. Um, do we have any Leos in the chat? Leo sun, Leo rising, or even Leo planets? My Mars is in Leo, but it's in my 12th. Okay. So Leo, what is this Capricorn new moon about for Leo spirit? What is the new moon about for Leo? Any Leos in the chat? Leo moon, 2nd house. Hey, Cassandra. And then advice for Leo. Cassandra, have I gotten a reading with you, or have you gotten a reading with me? The devil came out too. There's a lot of these same repeat cards. Leo sun, moon, Mars. Oh, wow. You've got a lot of Leo. Okay. So it's going to be very relevant for you. Any more advice, Spirit? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that I had someone named Cassandra get a reading from me. Okay. I've commented many times. I watched you for a while. Okay. That's probably why I recognize you. Okay. So Leos, a new moon in the 6th house in Capricorn, and trining Uranus in the 10th. Interesting. For my Leos, is anything going on in relation to work or health? Because obviously a new moon in this house is going to typically bring things up in that regard. Let me start off with the cards, though, and then I'll kind of get back and integrate some of the astrology. So we have the Tower in reverse and the Queen of Cups in reverse for what's going on. And then with she who revenges, revenge, outcome, and justice. Okay. So if something has felt unfair, because that's a really common experience of the 6th house, if something has felt unfair, I think you guys need to know that in the end, things will even out and become fair again. You will be avenged by like the spiritual and karmic energy of the world. So we have the Tower in reverse and Queen of Cups in reverse. So yeah, there might have been something that happened that upset you. I kind of want to let me pull a totally different card. What is this about, Spirit? Usually, the Tower in reverse to me represents something that we choose to walk away from, but the Queen of Cups to me feels like upsetting. Yeah, Alliance in reverse. Oh, I was gonna say this feels very relational, and I think it's because Venus and Pluto are in your 7th house. Yeah, something's going on here with this new moon where I definitely feel like there's been something maybe unfair for you guys with this alliance in reverse. Um, like maybe you were maybe this is in a relationship or in a contract or at work or something. I don't know the context of this, but there's something that I think has been imbalanced or unfair, and maybe there were certain promises that were made or things like that that didn't turn out like they were supposed to in some way. Um yeah, some level of like, so like let's say for example you were going to work on a business with a friend, and then maybe that friend was like, okay, you're going to be in charge of this and I'll be in charge of this and we'll get this amount of pay and we'll meet this many times a week. And it's like that person just doesn't show up, or they don't pay you, or they don't do what they said they were going to do. And there's some level of maybe not deception, but like, I mean, it could be deception, but there's something here of like things were not done correctly. Things were not done by the book, or they're not done fairly. That might be something of what you're experiencing now, or in the past of experience that you are kind of confronting around this new moon. With it trining Uranus in the 10th, I feel like you might need to take a different approach. Um, I'll get back to that in a second, though, when we get to our advice cards. So we have the Tower in reverse and Queen of Cups in reverse. The Queen of Cups, when I think about this card in reverse, it feels like something didn't work out like it was planned to. So maybe, yeah, again, we had some kind of plan, we had some kind of agreement. You know, I was supposed to get paid this much, or I was supposed to get this many hours at work, and now I'm not getting that. Or we were supposed to collaborate on this, and then this person didn't do their part. There's something like that where things were not maybe done in the correct pre-established way. And so I can see with the Queen of Cups in reverse that that could be really upsetting. So while you're so spot on, my Leo rising best friend experienced betrayal at her workplace regarding contracts, and it was not fair for her. It all went on behind her back. Yeah. Okay, good. It's so helpful to do live and have somebody confirm that I'm not crazy. Because sometimes I'm like, this isn't making any sense. So yeah, I think that that's exactly what I'm seeing here. Something like this where there is a potential for things to feel underhanded or unfair in a way that is in a previously established agreement, especially work, because this is in the 6th house, but it's very relational within work. And then we have the Queen of Cups. So there's something, again, very upsetting about that. And I think, again, you guys need to know that things in the long run will work out for your best interest. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. Like that you'll get some kind of justice, that you'll get some kind of like karmic revenge, not by you doing something, but maybe if those contracts were given to somebody else, maybe they actually turn out to be really horrible and like so much work. And then your friend is like, oh, I'm so glad that avoided me. So something like that, I feel like you guys need to know that you're kind of dodging a bullet, even though initially it might feel really unfair. So something around that. Okay, so um, let's talk about the advice section, and this relates to Uranus in the 10th trining this new moon. So I think part of what Uranus in the 10th could suggest is that there's some kind of unexpected quality to this new moon. So if people are in authority and they're making decisions for you, those people might be acting in erratic or unexpected ways, like them deciding something or behaving in some way might come out of the blue and shock in some way. That could be describing that. But this can also speak to your advice, like maybe changing jobs. Like maybe this whole thing pushes your friend to change her job, for example, and then it instigates a new path. So there's something here. It's like we need to potentially innovate our own behavior in order to get the desired results. So I'm going to come back to that. My Leo rising friend is having wait, okay. Is having relationship issues. He was about to get married, but clashes happened between the couple's family. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's very Venus and Pluto in the 7th house. Absolutely. So, alliance in reverse, that makes so much sense. Like this commitment to this person, this thing that we thought was going to go one way is kind of going south and things are very emotionally chaotic. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then Cassandra, I invested in a new machine for work, but it's been nothing but problems. Although I love what I do, although I do love what it does, the machine I purchased has been a bit of a nightmare. Still working through that and hopeful. Yeah, the erratic nature of work right now, I think very much comes from that Uranus trine to this new moon in the 6th. So again, things, or I guess literally things like machines or people, can be acting in ways that are quite unexpected and erratic right now. Um, and a push pause on a close relationship to gain clarity around it. Yeah. I think pause is a good thing right now because that's kind of the opposite of what we might be feeling. We might want to rush into a decision and we might regret some of the things that we say or do. So, what's the advice for my Leos? We have 5 of swords, the devil in reverse, and the ace of wands. Okay, I definitely need another card for this. The 5 of swords, I will say, is a card around like conflict and defeat. Um so I almost feel like part of the advice is I don't know. I don't know because sorry, I'm like arguing with myself because there is a lot of like this pushy energy around this new moon. And it's like we can use that. We can use that to stand up for something, to fight for something that is important. But we can also lose a lot in that. So we kind of have to know the right balance because we don't want to just push for the sake of pushing. Not for the sake of pushing, but we don't want to just push so far that it breaks, right? Um, okay, so we have tree and letter. So this seems important. So I'm going to read these to you. So let's see, tree. The tree represents a potent natural force and growth, making this card linked with health, vitality, and fertility. Also, again, health could be a major thing around this too. Maybe your health is acting really erratically, and mental health could be a big part of that. Sturdy trunks and roots signify solid position, firm support, patience, and steadfastness. Okay, so let me read that again. The trunk and roots signify solid position, firm support, patience, and steadfastness. So that's important because this card predicts slow and phased development with the fruits of your efforts coming to their own over time. Lineage and deep emotions, family issues. Okay. So I definitely feel like this is speaking to the advice here that you can push for something or like push to resolve something, push to make something clear. Um, Try to force something right now. Like, we're going to force this marriage to work. We're going to force our family to get along. We're going to, you know, go up to my boss and confront him for giving those contracts to someone else. We could do that, but I think that that might result in an outcome that is dissatisfying in the end. And I almost feel like there is a long-term thing here where it's saying to wait it out almost and to maintain a sort of, again, the steadfastness that the tree was speaking to, the rootedness that it's speaking to, relying on one's support system, relying on the things that do work. Like if in Cassandra, in this case, with your machine breaking down or a friendship issue, rely on the friends that are connected to you, rely on the other parts of your business that are effective, like lean on those a little bit more. And then I think in the end, there will be some kind of solution or an idea or something that presents itself with the Ace of Wands that allows my Leos to come out of this problem on top, that allows a resolution that feels really good for my Leos. But I feel like struggling against the existing problem isn't necessarily going to make it better. And it's almost like through just persisting and holding on and maintaining a long-term view, that is what is going to benefit my Leos the most. Doesn't mean that you can't address things at all. It doesn't mean that you can't be honest with people at all. I think that those things can also be true, but I think it's very easy to fight for something so much that you lose it, that you break it, that you hurt it beyond repair. And so it's going to be really important to be careful around how that's navigated if you do decide to confront something now. Hopefully that makes sense. I know I keep saying that. I should really stop saying that, but maybe I just don't think it makes sense. Okay. So let's go ahead and do Virgo. Do we have any Virgos in the chat? Or if Leo, you want to say anything to wrap up, that's also amazing. So 1:30:10 for Virgo. So wow, all the readings have been powerful. Oh, thank you so much, Jody. Thank you so much. My wife is a Virgo. Okay, yeah, I'm a Virgo rising. So let's see what's going on for Virgos. So this Capricorn new moon for Virgo is in your 5th house. Like I mentioned before, if you have an Earth ascendant, like Virgo's Earth, then the new moons that are also in Earth signs tend to be a little bit more useful. Uh, and that doesn't always mean that they're easy, but they have an ease of integration that I think is there. Okay. So what is going on for Virgos for this new moon? What's going on for Virgos for this new moon, Spirit? One more. And then, oh, kind of 2 more. Okay, almost all these cards are reversed and I just don't get it. Okay, advice. I don't understand. So, okay, she who radiates. Oh, that's cool. I feel like there are 2 messages here because I have sometimes the cards will fall out and they'll kind of like clump together in certain ways, or I just without thinking will put them together in like certain piles. I wish I could show you guys my desk, but and so I usually just like distinguish that as separate messages if they happen to do that. So this Virgo for Virgo rising, this Capricorn new moon is in the 5th house and it's making a trine to Uranus in the 9th. So okay, I'm just thinking for a second. So the first cards, they really resonate with me as somebody who's studying abroad right now. My cousin's a Virgo rising. Okay, great. I mean, I'll speak to these cards how they relate to my experience, and then I'm going to draw it back to the reading. But we have the Hierophant and the 8 of Cups. The Hierophant is a card of institutions. In this case, it can speak to like a religious institution or an educational institution. And then the 8 of Cups is like far away. Let's go far away lands. Let's leave where we know. So this to me is like me studying abroad. But this could also speak to Virgos with this new moon in the 5th trining Uranus in the 9th. It's like if you want to do something, the 5th house is often around what we want to create, something that maybe inspires us. Maybe we want to have kids. Maybe we want to start a business. Maybe we want to start a new hobby, or like for me, I'm writing, for example, and you want to do that. Maybe there is some type of institution or practice that will ask you with the 8 of Cups to leave behind something that you're currently doing or somewhere that you currently live and go on a journey with this Uranus trine in the 9th house to pursue that thing in a formal manner or under some kind of like mentorship or in an existing program or existing entity, like an existing way of doing things, methodology almost. So there's something for, and this really fits Capricorn in the 5th house, right? Because Capricorn is about institutions and 5th house is about something that we want to create, something that we want to do for ourselves that brings us joy. And then the 8th the ninth house speaks to the journey. So let me give another example of somebody who would want to have kids. Like this might be somebody that's thinking, oh, I want to have children, but let's say they struggle to have children. Maybe they decide to go somewhere for some kind of like fertility protocol, and it requires them to leave behind certain elements of their life that they are already engaging in. Maybe they have to travel somewhere. Maybe they have to change their diet. There's some element of like journeying away from what you're currently doing in order to follow some kind of um like methodology. So let me know in the chat if that makes sense for anything going on right now. We also have the 3 of pentacles in reverse and 3 of wands in reverse. I just really feel like these should be upright though. So I'm going to take them upright. So let's see. Venus and Pluto in the 6th house. Let me just pull clarifier on these to see if they should be reversed or upright. Should these cards be reversed or upright? The Fool in reverse. Okay. Why is every card coming out in reverse? Okay. So I'll take them in reverse then. So this might feel like I'm struggling, guys. I'm struggling. Let me pull. Can I have a clarifier spirit for this? Future choice and judgment. Okay, I'm just going to start talking about what I think it is, and then we'll see. The 3 of Pentacles in reverse can indicate issues working with people. I think this really speaks to Venus and Pluto in the 6th house. There can be some issues that arise where, okay, I'm going to go to this institution. I'm going to go to this place. I'm going to work with these individuals and leave behind something that I know or what I've been doing or what I've been familiar with. But then you get there and it's like, well, maybe you don't always agree. Maybe you have different ideas of what something should be like, or you don't always see like maybe the protocol that you're being put into isn't something that you 100% agree with, or maybe the people that you're around are not necessarily working well with you. If you're working at a job, for example, maybe this is like not always seeing eye to eye with the other people on your team. And the 3 of Wands, it's normally about like growth and expansion and learning from people and seeing that there are so many more perspectives out there. But I almost feel like there is a closed off energy around this, especially with the Fool in reverse of like, there is a new perspective, a new beginning. It is so hard to get to just face the camera. A new perspective, a new beginning, something that's like a fresh start. But I almost feel like you guys are experiencing maybe some inhibition around that, like inhibition around the newness and the growth and the opening to other perspectives, because maybe something is yeah, maybe something is just not aligning with other people. um she who divines, future choice and judgment related to that. Yeah, almost like the idea of what like the idea of the direction something should go in might be different for different people. um the choices that you make, the decisions that you make, your approaches might vary, and it could feel a little bit like a clash or like a challenge in certain ways. I'm curious if this relates to anybody. um my wife is fighting a case against her employer, which is a government itself. They hire her through a third party rather than directly hiring her to minimize the pay salary because it's cheaper for them. Oh my god. Okay, that's horrible. Are we surprised? No, we're not surprised because this is literally ugh. I mean, this is really speaks to what I was saying in the beginning of just these overbearing kind of dominant institutions in force right now. So, yeah, so then this could I mean, obviously that speaks to not being on the same page because the way that she gets paid is really being viewed differently from person to person. So it's like, okay, I'm going to join this company. I'm going to journey over here. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to be placed through an employment agency in this case. But then I get there and I'm like, wait, but they're trying to not pay me all the way, and other people are getting paid more, and this isn't right, and what's going on here? And we're having different ideas on how this thing is meant to be expanded upon or grown or whatever, or how I'm meant to grow. Like I'm meant to have more money in this instance, and I'm not. So it's like, what's my future in this company? We're not seeing eye to eye on this kind of thing. Virgo sun here, having trouble getting pregnant, also seeing someone to support my hormones. So spot on. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's Krista, that's kind of exactly. Um, Again, due to which we are not able to plan the second child. Yeah. Yeah. So all this can relate back to children. Absolutely. So it could feel like I don't see how this is going to work almost with this future and the fool in reverse. It could feel like I want this child or I want this new beginning, but I'm just not seeing how it's going to work. Maybe you're not noticing that the support is helping enough, or maybe you are losing faith at certain moments and you're getting frustrated by the feeling of trying for something that isn't working initially. And so that's the energy of this new moon. But what's the advice, and like what's the positives of this basically? Where are we going with this? Um, well, first of all, I think that let's see. Oh, this is the Emperor. Sorry, I just want to look a little bit more at this. Can I have a clarifying card for the Emperor spirit? So we have she who radiates knowing, ambition, and confidence. I feel like you guys, there needs to be almost like this feeling as of like, not act as if necessarily. I mean, you could do that, but yeah, I don't know. It's just almost like knowing it's all going to work out. Like, I know this is going to get better. I know that I'm going to make more money. I know that I'm going to get pregnant. I know that um these people that I'm working with, things are going to get better in that situation, whatever this pertains to. Coming from this really confident place, I feel like this is part of your advice, to sit in that and to not act from a place of weakness. I definitely feel like this whole new moon has a lot of very assertive and dominant type of energy. We don't want other people to dominate us. We don't want our fears to dominate us. We want to be really in control of our mind. As a Virgo, that's super important, but then also like of our faith and our hope and our optimism. And it doesn't have to be from like a delusional place. It could just be from a place of like, I am going to do all the things I need to do to make this succeed. I am not going to give up. And for that reason, I am confident, right? It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is all going to work out. I'm just going to turn a blind eye and I'm just going to hope. No, this is more so a Capricornian thing of like, I'm putting the things into place. I'm doing the practices. I'm showing up every day. Um, and I'm acting from that place of confidence. So it's, I think, part of your advice. So the other advice, we have Six of Pentacles, Emperor in reverse, and then the moon describing the Emperor. I'm going to sit on the Emperor for a second, get the Six of Pentacles. The Six of Pentacles, to me, I feel like this is saying that things are going to end up being fair in the end. Or like they will, like the outcome. I will say, okay, I will say other readers like to think that the Six of Pentacles is a breadcrumbing card where people like, I'll pay you this much, but I'm only going to give you that much or that attention or whatever. And it's like giving you the bare minimum. But I don't know. I'm curious if you guys feel like this relates to that. Actually, she was going to win the case, but the judge died. That's crazy. Actually, that's crazy. So your wife was going to win the case to get the money she deserved, but he died. Okay, well, that definitely feels like the Emperor in reverse. This is literally like the judge keeling over. I'm so sorry. That was not kind. Okay, that's crazy. So wow. Okay. um, that totally distracted me. That is so interesting. So okay, the ruler of this moon is Saturn in the 7th house of relationships. I really feel like there's gonna be something here of, like, play like, I was gonna say play by the rules, but the Emperor in reverse is kind of like a don't play by the rules card. So, I feel let me pull another one. Spirit, can I have more clarity on this? Yeah. Okay. So, there might be something here. Yeah, this is kind of what I was getting of like this is the message that I'm getting, I think, in general across all the advice is that if we really want something at this time, we may start pushing in an aggressive way. So if it's like we want a child in this case, we may start being we may lose touch of our connection with our partner when we really want to get pregnant. We could get so focused, on your basal body temperature and your ovulation and the timing and making sure that you do all the things. And I do think that you should do all the things. But the problem is that with this ruler in the 7th house, this is very much focused on like the how to make this kind of like the best solution for everybody and not just like dominate something. And this includes like your mind, your body, and your spirit. So if this is just talking about you as an individual, making sure that it's benefiting every aspect of the self rather than just one. Or if this is talking about you and a partner or you and a company, how do we make this so that it benefits like the whole, right? So it's like maybe getting pregnant, how do we do this from a balanced and even perspective, and how do we move forward with that while still doing all the things but in a way that allows us to feel like we're still connected to our partner, we're still um being kind of fair almost, if that makes sense. Because yeah, I pulled the she who regrets battle, victory, and bitterness. I feel like we could push forward for something, but at what cost? So that's something that we need to know. At what cost are we going to push something forward? With the Emperor in reverse and the Moon card, I feel like there are things, if this is involving a business or like an institution or something like outside of you, like a boss or something, like in the case with your wife, there is a lot happening behind the scenes with the Moon card. There's a lot that you don't see that I think is going to indicate that you will get the fair outcome. But there's a lot happening behind the scenes where the Emperor in reverse, they could actually end up that institution could actually end up undermining itself in some way. Um and and showing that it's not like working. That does that make sense? I don't know if that makes sense. Let's see, like, for example, let's say that if you are going to like a fertility doctor, maybe you're doing all of the things, but I don't know. I almost wonder, is that like the right person for you? I mean, I don't want to say like don't go to a I don't want to say to change your doctors or anything. I just think that there might be stuff happening behind the scenes, like with that institution or with that doctor, whatever, that you don't quite see at this time. Um, that needs to just play out. And this is kind of these are consistent messages throughout all the groups. You can see that things need their time to play out, that we should stand up for ourselves, but we shouldn't push it too far because that can break something or come at a cost. In this case, I think we need to be really even keeled and balanced in our approach and recognize that if this involves another person, the other person might mess up. And that could benefit us in some way, or they could be exposed in some way. Um, if this is about getting pregnant, I don't think that that message aligns with you guys. That's more so for like a business. So I'll pull a card just for the people who are wanting to get pregnant because that's also relevant. So Any messages specifically for people who are wanting to get pregnant? I know this is a small subset of people, but since you guys are on this chat, why not, right? Those who want to get pregnant, any message, Spirit? We have the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. Why is every card coming out in reverse? It's actually starting to piss me off. And the Five of Swords, which also keeps really coming out in a lot of these groups. Any other thing, Spirit? And the Queen of Swords in reverse. Guys, what's happening? Because whenever I flip through it, they are always upright. But then once they come out, they're in reverse. So I don't know. Okay, so the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, the Five of Swords, and the Queen of Swords in reverse. Okay. I do wonder if some of you guys who are on some kind of protocol to try to get pregnant, if you're having trouble with it, I do kind of wonder if there might be something about that advice that's like not working for you. I don't like to talk about medical stuff. I shouldn't be talking about this. I do practice a little bit of medical astrology, but it starts veering into legal territory. Consult your doctor. Maybe get a second opinion from a different doctor. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And I'm going to start talking about this because it's scaring me. Please don't sue me. Please don't take this as medical advice. Okay. Moving on. Anyone here? I also don't want to like fear monger. If you guys are trying to get pregnant, I'm not saying that you're not going to get pregnant or anything like that. I actually do think that you will. I almost feel like there's like little tweaks though right now that we could make, like a tweak in your doctor, a tweak in like maybe I'm going to see an acupuncturist, or maybe there's some other change that I can make in my lifestyle that makes a huge difference. So, okay, let's move on from that. Libra rising. Okay, yes, Libra rising. Your turn. We're at 151.23. Let me just write that down. 151.23. Okay. I'm also wanting to get pregnant within the next year. Oh my gosh, everyone's getting pregnant. If you want to check when the most typical time astrologically when people get pregnant is when they're going through a Jupiter transit, because Jupiter is known as the bringer of children. So for those of you guys who want to look into your astrology, and kind of understand more about timing, Jupiter over your moon, Jupiter opposing your sun, lots of options, Jupiter on your midheaven, on your ascendant. Those are really common things, especially Jupiter conjunct your moon is super common to get pregnant, which happens once every 12 years. So obviously we get pregnant with lots of transits, not just that one. So keep that in mind. Okay, Libra rising. So this Capricorn new moon is in your 4th house and is trining Uranus in your 8th house. So the 4th house is obviously about family. So Spirit, excuse me, what is this Capricorn new moon about for my Libras? And then what is their advice, Spirit? So we have the Magician in reverse, Ace of Swords. I wasn't sure if this should be reversed because it kind of came out sideways. So what's the advice for Spirit? What's the advice for Libra? Why do we keep getting 5 of Swords for like almost every group? And you guys hear me shuffling them, right? The Fool in reverse, the 9 of Swords, and then one more, Spirit. The King of Wands. Okay, there's some good cards. Finally. And then we have She Who Begins. Yeah, there's something that I feel like I'm just going to immediately say off the bat. There's something that I feel like you guys have been wanting to start, but there's some inhibition around it as well. Maybe you're overthinking it. Maybe you're getting conflicting advice. Maybe you're anxious about it. Maybe you have a lot of ideas and you're kind of spread thin. But there's something about this where I feel like there's been something that you want to launch, something that you want to start, something that you want to get out there into the world that may feel that you may feel inhibited around in some capacity. And with the King of Wands coming out, I definitely feel like you guys are meant to be coming out in terms of like leadership and self-confidence. I think you're meant to be stepping up a little bit more into that position. So with this new moon being in your fourth house, this to me is like the seat of the throne in the family. And that's kind of how I see this King of Wands. This is a person that looks like Elon Musk to me. Anyway, on some kind of like throne here. And that to me is like you guys being in your element, like you needing to kind of come back to a really strong place where you maybe feel you're at your emotional center, your creative center, that you are inspired, that you're in control, that you're confident, that you are leading something from a really strong place. Um, and again, because I think that there may be some like wishy-washy energy or some confusing energy that you're maybe embodying, and spirit really wants you to send it. Spirit wants you to go full force. If there's something that you want to start, like if you say you want to have a child, for example, this is your time to send it to go all the way. And not, if you have like doubts or fears or whatever, maybe you're lacking information about certain things, I feel like this is saying that you need to like try to clear that up within yourself, essentially. This moon is making a trine to Uranus in the eighth. So it's a lot around leaving behind the limitations, the fears, the anxieties, the worries. What if, what if, what if? It's like, okay, let's just, not that you have to ignore those things, because I think it's coming from a place of logic. Right. So you can make a plan. You can look at those. Okay, if I got pregnant, if this went wrong, if I bought this house, if this went wrong, what would I do? Like, what are the potential outcomes? And then you really make sure that you are thoroughly informed so you can act from a place of confidence as a leader, that you would know what decisions to make in any given situation. So there's something here around like fully stepping up. This message is coming through like immediately. So there's something that feels almost urgent because of how immediate this message is coming through. Pluto's conjuncting my natal Uranus. Okay. Yeah, so this is definitely time for you to not hold yourself back then. And to embrace the things that yeah. The Magician and the Ace of Swords, I kind of feel like these were meant to be upright. Like I feel like this message is, there's, when I see the Magician, it really feels to me that somebody is ready. They have what they need. I just think that you guys might need to do like more research with the Ace of Swords. I think there needs to be clarity in terms of information, in terms of a decision. Making sure that all of yourself is on board with something. Like, I'm committing to this. I'm going all in on it. I'm not going to waffle. And if you're not going to do it, then commit 100% to not do it, right? And don't go back and revisit and wonder. And it's like, okay, just decide and commit and send. Um, I have a story for this. I was hiking with my brother and his ex-girlfriend a long time ago, and I was going to jump from one rock to another rock, and there was a large gap, and I was scared. And she was like, when you do this, commit. Like, you can't just like, I'm gonna make the jump, and then you kind of waffle and then you fall, right? You have to send it. You have to feel confident. You have to know that you're gonna make it to the other side and give it everything you've got, because otherwise you will actually get really fucked up. So that's the vibe I'm getting from this, not the threatening part of that you'll get fucked up, but just the energy of there is no option but 100%. It's 0 or it's 100, and you can decide to go back, but you have to, or you can decide to fully commit. So there's something about this where I feel like you guys actually have exactly what you need. You just maybe do a little bit more of research if you, but in terms of like resources and whatnot, you have what you need. You just have to decide and commit. This feels like a really clear message. Wow. I don't know how this relates to the fourth house, though. The fourth house is related to our family. It's related to our home. It's related to our security. So maybe this is about where you live. Maybe this is about some decision within your family. Maybe this is about some kind of financial decision within the household. or relationships within your family. So there's some kind of beginning here that wants to happen or that wants to cement itself, but it can't if you don't 100% go for it. The ruler of this moon, Saturn, is in the 6th house with Neptune. So this could also involve very much like orienting your day and your routine around this decision, or your work around this decision. So it's like, okay, if I'm going to do this thing, then my life will then have to look like this, right? My environment, my work, or whatever has to then shift to make space for this or look like this. Um, my natal Uranus, Pluto's conjunct Venus. Okay, we talked about that. Okay, so let me pull some cards for you guys, though, because we do have Pluto conjunct your planetary ruler, conjunct Venus in your 5th house. I wonder if this is about children. It's like if you're gonna have children, just send it. I mean, obviously not everyone's gonna have children, but let's just see what this is about. Spirit, what's this Venus Pluto conjunction about for my Libras? We have the King of Swords. Interesting. I feel like this is also being this King of Swords is like penetrative, right? Like it's somebody who has a plan. It's somebody who is direct. It's somebody who's honest, who is, I was gonna say bold. I'm not necessarily bold, but decisive. Like this is somebody who's not like, again, not waffling, not unclear. So there's something here around getting very clear on what you want, and I think that Venus Pluto is about like really. Every time we have a conjunction with Pluto, it allows us to dig into the shadows of something. So maybe you do need to dig into the fears, into the shadows, and see like, why is there resistance? And then come out the other side as a King of Sword with this absolute clarity. I think that you, with the Chariot in reverse, you need to make sure that all of you is on board with this thing. And that if it involves someone else, that you're both on board as a couple or as a team or as a unit, if this involves multiple people. So something about this where you need to lead, you need to step up and be strong and honest and clear, and you need to make sure everyone's on board, and you need to get rid of or like do your best to get rid of the fears, the doubts, the insecurities, the what ifs by doing your research and having backup plans and having a strong idea of how you will react depending on what scenario occurs. Okay, I'm glad it resonates. Yay. Okay, so that's your message, Libra. That also felt pretty straight to the point for you guys. Okay, so let's talk about Scorpio 20205. 202. Okay. So Scorpio rising. This Capricorn new moon is in your 3rd house. Do we have any Scorpio risings in the chat? Do we have any Scorpios in the chat? Or even people with Scorpio planets? I'm curious. My partner has a sun, Scorpio stellium. And what house is that in? Do you know? My brother has a Scorpio stellium and sun as well. I love my Scorpios. Okay. The 9th. Oh, that's a great house. Okay, Spirit, what is happening for our Scorpios? 2 of Cups. Beautiful. What's happening for our Scorpios? Pisces rising. What's happening for our Scorpios, Spirit, with this Cap new moon? Okay, why are all the same cards coming out? All right, I'm putting these back and shuffling again. All right, Cap new moon for my Scorpios. What's going on for Cap new moon Scorpios? All right, and then advice. Ooh, a lot came out for that. Interesting. There's something going on with relationships for my Scorpios. So Jody, I wonder if something's going on with you guys or your partner and somebody else. Let's see. Okay. So for Scorpio rising, again, we have this Capricorn new moon in the third house, trining Uranus in the seventh. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't even think about Uranus in the seventh. Makes a lot of sense why relationship stuff is coming up. There's something here around relationships where I feel like that Scorpios are meant to be getting clear. Getting clear on what they want, kind of similar to Libra, getting clear on what is what they want something to look like, how when it pertains to their involvement with other people. So, with the Two of Cups and the Ace of Wands, this could be this could be so many things. But let me use an example of somebody I know. So someone I know is interested in somebody, but then they kind of like don't really know about the relationship as well. So, and they're Scorpio. So it's like this to me would be the Cap Newman would be them needing to get clear on what it is that they're looking for in a partner, how they communicate with people, what it is that they want with something, maybe a creative project, and how that relates to or involves other people with the Two of Cups. Um, my partner, my partner's job has changed his hours from March, so it's going to be a huge change come March. Yeah. So a new moon in the third house can definitely indicate a lot of change in terms of your busyness level. Um, is it slowing down or is it speeding up? I'm curious. The third house has a lot to do with like our it's very similar to the six, and that it has a lot to do with kind of like our day-to-day life in certain respects. And the third house has a lot to do with our mental clarity within that day-to-day life and how we communicate and interact and socialize with people. So there's something about this where I really feel like you guys, my Scorpios, are meant to be kind of reigniting some passion with the Ace of Wands, or really tuning into your own frequency of like what it is that makes you feel passion in your day-to-day life, but especially when it comes to other people. And I feel like with the she who doubts and then she who radiates knowing, ambition, confidence, fear, wariness, and trust, I just feel like there is like this two-sided coin, and this might not even speak to relationships necessarily, but with that trine to Uranus in the seventh, I can't help but think about that. But this could also speak to like Scorpios needing to kind of come back into their passion in general with themselves, um, to kind of like get their head screwed on right. And the ruler of this moon is Saturn and with conjunct Neptune in the fifth. So something about like doing more of what you love or feeling more um connected to like enjoying your day-to-day life. There's something about this. Not necessarily happy about the hours and days changing. It'd be good work-life balance. His old shift for 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts, but now he's going to 5 days a week, 7-hour days. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's something about this period where I feel like there is two kind of minds, right? There's the part of the individual, the Scorpio, that might feel really confident right now, really knowing what they want, excited about something, inspired about something. And then there is this other part of these individuals that they may be going through periods of uncertainty or um having certain fears or having certain doubts. So, and this could be again related to a relationship. Maybe you're kind of like, maybe Scorpios are going back and forth about someone or something in their life, or maybe they have something that they're doing that they feel good about sometimes and then bad about sometimes. I'm seeing this like, it's kind of similar to Libra, a little bit of this two-sided energy. Um, and the advice is the Four of Wands, Four of Cups in reverse, and the Star. I almost feel like this is something that's saying like lean into it with the Four of Wands and Four of Cups in reverse. And the Star, like believe in something and lean into something. This feels really similar to Libra's message. But yeah, the 4 of Wands is a card of celebration. So it's almost like seeing this thing, this person, this opportunity, or this thing, or this change that maybe you did not decide on for yourself. Maybe it's something that happened to you, like in the case with your husband, Jody. Maybe there's something that happened to you. Maybe you randomly met somebody that you didn't anticipate. But whatever it is, it's something that feels like coincidental or accidental. And it's like, can we celebrate what this is bringing into our lives instead of focusing on what we're losing? The 4 of Cups in reverse is like, I don't want that. It can be kind of dismissive. Oh my God, my stomach's growling. I haven't eaten today. It's like 4 o'clock. So yeah, there's something about this where it's like, let's have hope and let's be optimistic. I really think that my Scorpios, you guys have a lot more upright cards than any of the other groups. The only in reverse card is a negative card. So there's something here about like saying yes to life a little bit more, like engaging with life, and not allowing yourself to like fear something that might be trying to come in, or something that might be changing your life or throwing you off course a little bit. It's like if something is unexpected happening, or if you met somebody that you never thought you'd meet, or if you got news about something that you didn't think you would get, how can you see that as a positive? Because there's something about this that I think is actually a blessing, but it might be hard to see that right now. So I know that might, yeah. So, or even if it's not hard to see, there just might be something about this that you're not fully embracing, where you have some resistance around it. So I really feel like for Scorpios, there needs to be a shift in mindset, because that's a third house new moon, to embrace the thing that maybe you didn't expect with more open heartedness. Okay, I kind of want to pull another card. Another card around advice, spirit, for my Scorpios. That's too many. I just want one, spirit. One card for Scorpios. Yeah, I feel the same. What do you mean, Jody? Okay, none of these. I'm going to try a different deck. What do you mean you feel the same way? A blessing in disguise. Yeah, I know. And I don't know. I think that we literally don't know why it's happening. Like what and I think that's like the biggest message, is that there's long-term plans at play with the universe right now that we can't quite grasp. So Scythe. Okay, let's see. Oh, the scythe is an attribute of the gods of fertility and death. So the symbol is associated with cycles, reaping fruits, and dangerous situations when you have to walk the edge of a blade. A scythe is a sharp object. It works quickly and inflicts swift strikes with irreversible consequences. You have to be very careful with questions where this card falls. In most cases, this card cuts off or reduces something. For example, it could be the cessation of a relationship with a friend or employer, salary cuts, or unexpected, unpleasant expenses. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that like this card can often speak of something that feels initially negative and unexpected, but I think it's speaking to the fact, or my message is speaking to the fact that there is something that will be gained by doing it this way, or by having this experience happen. So, if something negative has happened, you are still gaining something from this. I don't, yeah, I feel like this is saying embrace the situation and the cards that you've been dealt for my Scorpios, because again, I really, really think that there is a lot to be gained from this. Um, Even if it means that some things are leaving your life, or maybe you gain something from them leaving. Or maybe someone new is joining that you didn't expect. And again, maybe you gain something from that. It feels shitty at first, but when one door shuts, another opens. Exactly. I know, like, for example, my brother's a Scorpio and he broke his leg. So there's something about that that's obviously really negative. Like breaking your leg is horrible, and it's been very mentally challenging to slow down. But I have been telling him, I really feel like there's something that you're going to gain from this. Like, I think it's going to change his career trajectory in his life. And it's slowing him down enough for him to figure that out. But it's like you have to experience these major detours in life or these things shifting or changing in order for you to see that you wouldn't, in order for you to see a path that you wouldn't have seen. So it could be possible that that's the case, or that there's just a need to accept something about this path because there's actually something really great on the existing one that has been like changed in some way. Okay, I hope that makes sense. But okay, let's move on to Sagittarius 21433. Jody, I like that card too. It looks a little scary, but it's cool. Okay, anyone here have Sagittarius, Sun, rising, or even Venus or any other planet? Okay, so Sagittarius. What's happening at this Cap new moon for Sagittarius spirit? What's happening for Capricorn? I hope he heals well. Absolutely agree. Sometimes life happens to us when we don't make a change. Yep. And Scorpio can resist change, I will say. Okay, Sagittarius spirit. Oop. Again with all these reversals. The amount of reversals is like, I hate it. Okay. So Sagittarius, for you guys, my sister's a Sag sun. Okay, great. So you can speak maybe to her experience a little bit. So for Sag, this new moon is happening. This Capricorn new moon is happening in your second house, and it's trining Uranus in the sixth. So second house, sixth house, and then the ruler of the moon is Saturn, which is in your fourth, conjunct Neptune. So this is definitely pointing towards money, work, security. This is very like material resource oriented. So there is some kind of new beginning that's trying to happen in that regard. I think kind of what we've seen okay, never mind. I'm not going to have that thought or go down that thought. Okay. So we have the Ace of Cups in reverse. The is this page or the Knight of Swords? The Knight of Swords in reverse. And then oh wait, no, that's a page because it's not on a horse. And the Tower in reverse. So many reversals. Page of Swords, Tower in reverse. Okay. So one of the messages coming here for my Sag was like kind of maybe things like getting ahead of ourselves with something and then finding that it ends up collapsing in some way, or that we decide to leave it, because Tower in reverse is usually self-initiated. So we have the Ace of Cups in reverse. This is someone like overflowing with love, but then it's like, oh, like where does it go? It doesn't really have anywhere to go because it's in reverse, is dumping out of the cup. So and then we have the Page of Swords, and it's in reverse as well. And Page of Swords is already kind of one of the more impulsive and hasty kind of energies in the deck. And then in reverse, it can bring out the negative consequences of that. And the Tower in reverse is, of course, a foundation of something, or like giving away or you leaving something. So this all pertains to the message of there might have been something in your life that you got a little bit hasty with, a little bit ahead of yourself with, because you really, really want something. And I can see that with the She Who Yearns, desire, yearning, longing, pining for. Maybe you really wanted love. Maybe you really wanted money. Maybe you really wanted some career thing to work out, or I don't know, whatever this is. And it's saying that there was some kind of maybe decisions that were made based off of that. Maybe you really, again, I really want this thing to pan out in this way. And then you're like, actually, I feel like I feel like it's not really turning out as I thought, right? Like maybe I kind of idealized something, maybe, or maybe I put all my eggs in one basket. Maybe I jumped too soon. Maybe I Yeah, there's something about that where it's like kind of maybe an assumption that was made, or um just like wanting something so bad that the desire kind of took over the practical elements. So I think something about this Capricorn new moon is almost like restoring some of the practical elements, because it is a Capricorn new moon after all. Bringing things back down to the basics, bringing things back down to what works or what is real. Um, Grounding something into reality in a different way, especially with this ruler of the moon being in the fourth house, like really making something, yeah, really making something like steadfast. The ruler of the moon in the fourth could also speak to this somehow relating to either like deep-seated feelings or something happening with family. God, I feel like I have so many messages for Sag that it's like too all over the place. But I'm curious if there's anyone Sag here, or if your sister with the Sag sun could relate to this in any way, because this feels like a very specific message. But yeah, there's something here. It's like maybe in the past, in the recent past, getting ahead of getting ahead of yourself didn't work out. Like something didn't pan out. Like let's say for example, I um I really want to invest in this like new financial opportunity, and or I bought this thing that I really really wanted even though I didn't have the money yet, and then it ends up that it breaks, or the financial opportunity falls through, or the person that I thought was really great actually turned out to be married. No, that's kind of silly. But there no, I mean maybe. So there could be stuff like that happening right now where it's like, "Oh, that thing that I wanted it so bad." She feels it in regards to relationships. Yeah, like I wanted this person so bad or this thing so bad that I was like willing to rush into it, and then it's not holding up. So part of the advice for my Sag with the 7 of swords and the star card, I think it's to be more strategic, to be more careful in planning. The second house where this new moon is taking place is often about like resources and money, but it's also a lot around independence and self sufficiency and building oneself up and acting from a very conservative place and having a plan in place. All of the houses involved, fourth, sixth, second, are kind of the more um, yeah, are kind of the more quick. You said Sagittarius energy is quick to act, but sometimes not the best decision for them. That's kind of what I'm seeing in this scenario is like there needs to be a slowing down and a coming back to a plan and a strategy and making sure that what you're doing has like a reasoning behind it. The 7 of swords is the most strategic card of the deck. So it's really making sure like this person's going to steal a bunch of stuff. If you're going into a camp at night with a bunch of soldiers and you're going to steal their weapons, do you think that you're gonna go in there without a plan? No. That's super risky. So there's something here about, like, assessing the risk and making sure that you are, um, doing what is, like, the safest bet. Let's say you want to work with someone or going to invest into something, you want to make sure that you are doing your research on this person and being like careful on who you're getting into bed with business. You want to make sure that the investment that you're putting into something financially is going to pay off. So you're doing your research and you're making sure that you are acting very strategically. And then we have the star card, which is a card of optimism. So just because something didn't work out in the past doesn't mean it won't work out in the future with something or someone else. So just because this thing fell through, if it did, doesn't mean that you should feel this sense of hopelessness. I think part of your advice is to be both strategic and hopeful, because Sag sometimes is operating from too much hopefulness and not enough strategy. So it's like we got to kind of balance them out, you know. So anything else, Spirit, that Sag needs to hear? So if this is around money or people, I think yeah, just acting from a place of calmness, because I will say one of the elements of Sag that is prone to is kind of like this manic state, this hyper, yeah, mania, kind of like I'm very excited. I'm going for this. I'm like giving all myself to this. I 100% believe in this. And that's beautiful. And that can be really good at manifesting certain things. But sometimes when we act from that like um energized place, sometimes we can be a little bit like too quick or too all in, or like not slowing down enough to like consider lots of things. So part of Capricorn's energy is about being practical. And I think in order to maintain practicality, we have to act from a place of inner calm. So it's like I'm making sure that I'm coming back to maybe a place of like meditation. It's not that I can't be excited and optimistic, but usually acting from like a revved up, excited, emotional state could produce results that keep the cycle going, where you may overlook important information and key details. So calming the nervous system, calming the body, carefully considering your options, carefully considering the pros and cons, and still feeling optimistic and moving forward anyway. So that's kind of what I'm seeing for you, Sag. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you, Jody. Jody, it's just me and you in the chat, girl. I'm assuming you're a girl because of what we talked about and your name. So this is like a private conversation. Okay, let's move on to Capricorn. Do we have any Capricorns in the chat? Capricorn rising, Capricorn sun. This is your new moon after all. I'm pretty sure that these lives might cut out after 3 hours. So I think I read that somewhere. I'm a Cap ascendant. Okay, yay. It's so true. Sagittarius energy has amazing manifesting. Yeah, they're incredible manifestors because that optimism is infectious. Okay, Capricorn ascendant, unschooly. All right, so time is 1:25:55 or 2:25:58. Okay. Okay. I'm so glad that you're here. So, okay, Capricorn, what's happening for you, Capricorn? Oop. Wheel of Fortune, upright, finally an upright card. My Capricorns, what are you getting out of this new moon? What is happening for you? We have the Ace of Wands, some positive cards. What's going on, Capricorn? This looks good. Maybe just one more. Oh, that was a lot. Okay, we'll take these as advice. Yeah. Okay. Get uncomfortable sitting for 3 hours, so I kind of adjust a lot. I notice that in my videos, I'm always like pushing up on my chair. It's probably really annoying to watch. So I apologize. Okay, Capricorns. So obviously, Capricorn, this new moon for you is happening in your first house. So, or where your sun is, depending on what your rising sign is. So this new moon in the first, it's making a trine to Uranus in your fifth house. Really beautiful. I'm getting a positive energy for you guys. I feel like if things have been difficult, things are going to start turning around with the Wheel of Fortune and the Ace of Wands. That's what Uranus in the fifth house can do. It can feel like it's breaking us out of a funk. It's making us come back online. It's making us feel alive and excited. It can help us come up with a plan or an idea to get unstuck or to find a solution to an existing problem, to feel like we're making progress, like we're building ourselves up. Like we are, yeah, I think maybe some of you guys could be working out more. Maybe some of you guys are creating some kind of plan or starting something new that you have wanted to do for a while, that you felt passionate about. The ruler of this moon is Saturn in your third. So again, I feel like you guys are very strategic right now. I think you guys are maybe having lots of like ideas and solutions and information that can come through for you to help support some kind of new beginning for you guys in a beautiful way. Love this for Capricorn. I do too. I want my business to get out of a rut. In the last quarter of 2025, I had losses. And with kid responsibilities, I'm out of routine. I have the solution in place. I'm not able to execute it regularly. Yes. Okay. So exactly. So this Capricorn new moon is going to help with the energy of that. So I do think that there is something about, I mean, of course, as an astrologer, I think that there's something about timing and the universe and things that are outside of our control. And I can see this. I can see this in astrology all the time. It's like, okay, you want that thing now, but you want that relationship, but you have Venus square Saturn, like it's not coming to you now. This is just an example. It's not a part of a chart. So I think it's really important to do our work, and then the universe can start picking up the momentum and energy to then support our efforts. So that's what I'm seeing at this Cap new moon. I see with the Wheel of Fortune, Ace of Wands, things picking up speed, things picking up pace. And this is not because of like, I think you guys are having the ideas and the solutions. Like you said on school, you've got the solution in place. So now I think the universe is going to start aligning better in order for you to be able to execute this thing. So it might not happen immediately, but generally, I do think that there is going to be something that can click into place to help things feel like they are progressing at a more rapid rate. I mean, we have Mars on a part of this new moon, helping accelerate things. We have that trine to Uranus, removing the blockages of things. So I see the passion, I see the inspiration, I see the ideas, and I think that things will naturally accumulate. So if this is like, this is consistency accumulating the efforts. Again, it might take some time, but I think if you keep at what you're doing, things will start to get easier. Things will start to move faster. The rewards and the efforts will accumulate over time. So that's really a very clear message. We have She Who Remains, powerful devotion, true earth. Exactly. So remaining where you are, staying connected to exactly what you're doing, even if you don't see immediate results, I promise you things are going to start speeding up. They really, really will. So I think it's important right now to not give up, to show up consistently, and you will start to see things pay off. Again, this might be like a few weeks. It might be like once we start getting into Saturn moving into Aries. I think especially when we see that in February. It's about timing. I know the things I need to do, but I keep getting exhausted with other responsibilities. I see the blocks also moving out on its own. Yes, it's totally about consistency. Absolutely. Yeah. And it can be hard to be consistent when you feel like there are these blocks and things getting in the way and things keep tripping you up. But it's like, let's say, it's just like get up the next day and try again. Every day is a new day. Every day was an opportunity to try again, try again, try again. Even if that previous day didn't work at all. It's a reset in the new day. And so that's really what I want my Capricorns to know, is that every day is a new day, and to almost like block it off from what has previously happened so that you don't get worried about the issues, right? Like they are going to clear up. We have She Who Surrenders, chains, bondage, and release. Yes, I. This is what I'm seeing. I really feel like you guys are going to be released from the chains or the bondage of whatever is keeping you stuck in place. So I think you're going to have some kind of solution, or some kind of movement, or we're releasing you from a stuck energy very soon. That's really what I'm seeing. If you're trying to lose weight, if you're trying to build your business, if you're trying to find a relationship or build finances, again, I really feel like if you keep showing up for the like the daily tasks or whatever it is that moves that needle forward, it's going to make a difference. And usually Capricorns are really good at knowing what moves the needle forward. Maybe not the rising, but definitely the sun. Okay, so your advice, we have the Four of Pentacles, we have the Strength in reverse, we have the Two of Cups, and we have the Queen of Cups in reverse. Okay, so I'm going to take these as like two separate things. We also have Venus and Pluto in your second house. So one of the things that might worry you guys right now is money. Money might be on your mind. It could also be relationships. Oh, that's probably why I separated these two things, because one is about money, one is about relationships. So yeah, you guys might be worried about either a relationship or money. This deacon is ruled by the Four of Pentacles. Thanks, Chad. Very helpful. Okay. So your advice. This is interesting advice. I really think things are going to get moving for you. But your advice is a lot about like holding back. So it's kind of contradictory. So I stand by what I said in terms of showing up consistently. But if there is some kind of like big risk or this like big jump or this big push forward that you want to do, I really feel like that's not the advice here. This is a Capricorn new moon. After all, Capricorn is about slow and steady progress. Saturn is a planet that wants to move forward steadily. I do think things will naturally become less inhibited and they will accelerate on their own. But I think if you try to push it, if you really try to push it every day, like it's really about the little things each day, but if you try to do too much in one day and make a lot of progress all at once, I do think that you are going to have a negative outcome in terms of like health or well-being and everything. The 4 of Pentacles and the Strength in reverse to me is really saying that this is kind of about conservative action. So this is like, instead of trying to, if you're worried about money, instead of trying to be super drastic and cut down your expenses to nothing and save all your money, it's like you're not actually going to be able to sustain that. This is going to require too much strength, too much willpower that is going to overwhelm you. So it's saying, how do we just save, okay, maybe $100 each week or $20 each week? And we consistently do that and never stop. So there's something about that where it's like a little bit over a long period of time and being okay with things being delayed in results, but it's actually going to accelerate. So you don't have to worry about that. But mentally being okay with that in the moment is going to be important. We also have 2 of Cups, Queen of Cups in reverse. So not emotionally pushing yourself too much to try to like fix things in relationships or make everything better in relationships right away. If it's talking about people, or trying to meet everybody and I don't know, whatever this is related to with relationships, it's not trying to resolve all of it because that's going to tax the relationship too much or your emotions too much. It's like, how do we pace ourselves? That's the advice here for you Capricorn, is if you're anxious, try your best to pace yourself and think long term. Even if you have things that are immediately calling your attention, like I'm stressed about that bill, I'm stressed about this fight or whatever, or being alone or whatever. It's like if you try to, if you take consistent action, you will get to your desired outcome sooner than if you try to push really hard all at once. This is like the tortoise and the hare type of situation. And you're going to find that there is less resistance from the universe, especially as we move further into 2026. So that's what I see for you, Capricorn. That feels quite clear. You guys got the most positive message out of everybody, I feel like. It's been kind of some weird messages today. It's a weird moon, I think, a little bit. Okay. So let's move on to Aquarius. Does anyone here have Aquarius? So 236, 50. Does anyone here have Aquarius, sun, rising, moon? No one? Okay. Well, let's just get started on Aquarius. I'm surprised I don't have more Aquarius people in my my YouTube channel. My mom's an Aquarius. My ex was an Aquarius. I feel like I attract a lot of Aquarius people. Okay, so what's happening for this Capricorn new moon for my Aquarius individuals? We haven't seen a single 3 of Swords. That's good. What's happening for my Aquarius? Oh, that's a lot. My brother and cousin are Aquarius. What are your thoughts on Aquarius, Jody? My brother's a double Aquarius, sun and rising. Do you get along well with them? Like, what's your energetic take on Aquarius? Okay. What's happening for Aquarius in this new moon? And then what is their advice? Interesting. So is this Capricorn new moon's in their 12th, isn't it? Let's see. I have an Aquarius. Hey, Chad. Okay. Yeah, Aquarius, this Capricorn new moon is in your 12th and it's trining Uranus in your 4th. Very clear message for my Aquarius coming through. Um so yeah, I feel like for my Aquarius, part of what's going on right now is that you guys oh, I don't want to do that. Sorry, my computer's trying to do a software update. So, okay, a 12th house new moon also trining Uranus in the 4th. This is very indicative of needing to rest. 12th house, 4th house are houses of rest. 12th house was internet. My internet was slow. Okay. 12th house is sleep. Fourth house is where you go to be at home and to rest by yourself. So what's going on? We have the 8 of Wands and the 10 of Swords. I feel like you guys have maybe been going and doing so much. And now, like in these previous months, and I think now it's time for you to kind of slow down a little bit. I think that you guys, with the 4 of Swords being your advice card and the Hanged Man, I think that you guys need to rest because and not move. Like literally, like stay at home more. Maybe meditate, I don't know, zone out. There's something here where I think that you guys, with the King of Wands, also your advice, I think that you guys are going to have some kind of creative inspiration come to you or some kind of really cool idea, maybe even some kind of opportunity, but you're going to want to feel prepared for this. You're going to want to have energy for it. You're going to want to have the space for the idea to come or for this opportunity to come to you. So I think that you guys, your message is like really black and white, is like slow down, rest, and don't try to force something right now. With the King of Wands, I think something is going to come to you, but again, it can only come to you when you have the spaciousness to allow it to come to you. Um, we have the we have a few more of these cards. We have She Who Emerges, Enlightenment, Mindfulness, and Rise Up. So yeah, I think that you guys are meant to be tapping into your like higher mind right now. So this could be going for walks in nature. This could be listening to classical music or inspiring speeches. This could be you meditating and drawing or doing art or something like this that is going to help you tap into a different part of your mind that is maybe not as analytical and that is more um open, more porous. And She Who Questions, yeah, I think that that porousness is going to allow you to have questions and openness that will the universe will then supply with answers, that the solutions to something will come or like the next steps to something will come if you have an existing question, or maybe if you just feel restless or like not at ease with something. This Capricorn new moon is really saying that it's important for you to not try to fix the problem and find all the solutions. It's important for you to just sit a little bit in what you're at and to gain perspective with this perspective card. I think that's the biggest thing right now is to definitely gain perspective by allowing yourself to rest enough to have the answers come to you. I feel like that's literally your message, but that might not be enough for my Aquarians. Um, Jody says, I can always spot an Aquarius. They tend to be the different ones in whatever group, family, friends, work. They're always funny and don't even try, in my experience. Different to Leo or Gemini funny. Chad says, I'm newly licensed attorney and I've been driving all around my region doing court appearances. I'm in the market for a new job because I'm doing a lot of evictions and I hate it. Okay, see, that's a great example, Chad. I really feel like this new job, I mean, that makes a lot of sense with the Capricorn new moon since Capricorn's about work, but my advice would be to not try to immediately search for a new job, but to kind of like manifest it by sitting with yourself, and asking spirit to find like for the best solution to come to you, because I definitely think something really good is going to appear. The theme of emergence, yes, has to do with the transition of planets from the 12th to the 1st in the next couple of weeks. Absolutely. So once, like you're saying, once that sun shifts into your first house into Aquarius, I think things will be illuminated. So right now it's a period of incubation where you maybe feel like, I don't like what this is, but I don't know what's next. And instead of trying to figure it out and solve the problem, you are meant to sit in that space and allow, like you said, for things to emerge. So really beautifully said, Chad. Really beautiful. So that's the message for Aquarius. That was really short, but I feel like that's pretty clear. I guess I could also talk about Venus and Pluto in Aquarius. Yeah, let me talk about that before I move on. Um, I think that this Venus Pluto in Aquarius has to do with like a resistance to what is, and really recognizing, because again, Pluto shows the shadows. So really recognizing what isn't working. Like, hey, this feels bad when I do evictions. Hey, this feels bad when I hang out with this person. It feels bad when I eat this food, or when I don't exercise. So it's like you're spotting what isn't really working, but then the next step is to find the solution, to find what will work, but that is going to come to you through rest. So okay, so let's move on to our last group, Pisces. So do we have any Pisces in the chats? I have a Pisces descendant. So usually there's a Pisces on here somewhere, but not always. Okay, so 2, 44, 45, 49. Let's see. 2. Okay. So Pisces. This Capricorn new moon for you guys is happening in your 11th house, and it's trining Uranus in your 3rd. So there might be some stuff happening socially for you guys that this Capricorn new moon is bringing. Maybe having important conversations with people, having new ideas come to you through other people. So let's see what the cards say. What's going on for my Pisces? Oop, that was very clear. Very direct. And then what is going on for their advice for my Pisces spirit? Advice for my Pisces spirit. It's weird to get like negative cards in the advice section. It's like, what? One more card, spirit. Just one more. Like they get negative and then they end positive. So it's almost like this is happening and then it moves to this. Okay. So listening for my Pisces partner, here for the long run. Aw. Thanks, Jody. Your presence is very appreciated. So, okay. For my Pisces, again, this is a new moon in the 11th. Interesting that we have this future card come out. She who divines, future choice and judgment. 11th house often has to do with like long-term thinking. 9th and 11th house are very like, not, I mean, they're slightly different, but they're very future oriented in the way that they operate. So there's something about this time where you guys might be looking into the future, wanting to have a plan, analyzing things in certain ways. Maybe you are having certain ideas come to you with that Uranus trine to your 3rd about something that might work in your future. Let's see. So what else is going on at this new moon? We have Ace of Cups in reverse. We have the 4 of Swords, and we have the Page of Cups upright. So Ace of Cups in reverse, 4 of Swords. There might have been things in your past, maybe relationships that didn't work, or friendships that failed, or opportunities that were lost to you that you were disappointed about, like things that had likely already have happened. People leaving your life, things happening that, again, I was like, I'm excited about this, I'm emotionally invested in this, and then it doesn't work out. Often relationships with the Ace of Cups, not always. And then the 4 of Swords is like, okay, now I need to recover. I need to rest. I need to like really analyze my life, because now I have to come to terms with maybe what has already happened. So for example, I had a client who previously went through a breakup, and then maybe she was going out and using this time to find herself. And then we have the Page of Cups. So it's like, okay, now that that's happened, we're in a phase of the kind of like coming back online. So, or thinking about that in the future, like thinking about in the future, like what you would want again. Yeah, I almost see like, okay, once your heart is broken by a relationship and it's like starting to come back to life, starting to come back into your own, and like, and thinking about relationships again. That's the vibe I'm getting from this. Like someone's heart thawing, like after healing for a while, or starting to think about that again and what that would look like in your future. And this doesn't just have to be about relationships, it could be about anything, but I'm going to say relationships because of the 11th house being about friendships and community where this new moon is taking place. Like people have disappointed me. I thought this relationship would work with this friend and it didn't. And then now I'm like, okay, how do I come back to myself? How do I find that kind of like feeling of lightness and playfulness again in relationships? Like once you've been hurt, once you've had to recover, it's like how do you get that spark back in a way. That's kind of what I'm seeing here with some of this. Or maybe I've tried to do something in the past and I failed at it, or it never got off the ground. The opportunity never really took flight. And then with the Four of Swords, then I felt like I had to have a space of doing none of that and not trying to do it anymore. And now it's like, okay, it's starting to come back online. I'm starting to gain interest in this thing again. I'm starting to dabble in this hobby or this friendship or whatever this thing is again. So there's something about that where it's like, yeah, I think that's clear. And it's like looking at the future of like, how will this work in my life? That's kind of what this Capricorn new moon is about, is getting that spark back. Think about how this thing will work again for you after trying it before. And yeah, I can see your advice. We have the world in reverse. This is like something that didn't come to fruition. The world upright is a card of success and completion. In reverse, it's saying that it didn't come to completion. It didn't succeed. And you might have felt with the Five Pentacles alone. You might have felt a lack, left out in the cold, like some element here of things being disappointing, like gaining the negative consequences of something not working out. And then the Five of Swords, I can see some internal incongruency or like fighting, maybe like this internal battle of like, now that I've been disappointed and I feel defeated by this thing, it's like kind of this inner fight of like, do I want it? Do I not want it? Like, where does that leave me mentally after that? I'm like, not all of me is on the same page. So I see all of that taking place. And then it ends with the Ace of Swords, which is your final piece of advice. So this is kind of like showing the story, and it ends with the Ace of Swords, and it represents having clarity, having a plan, having a decision that you're making. So this is to me like getting clear in your heart and mind around the new beginning of something that has previously not worked out or that failed in some way that you have had to recover from, have had to rebuild. And now you're thinking about the future of like, well, what if I do that thing again? What if I re-involve myself in that friend? Or what if I try to make friends again? What if I try to, I don't know, let's say this, it's something that you're emotionally invested in. Like, let's say that you tried to date somebody and it didn't work. It's like, how do I put myself out there again? It's stuff like that where it's like coming back online after a period of rest. And the Ace of Swords to me is saying, like, your advice is saying to have some kind of, um, yeah, like to invest in like this plan or strategy. And I think that really has to do with Uranus in the third of like, okay, this didn't work before. Why didn't it work? Let's problem solve this. Let's sit and actually like detail what didn't work about this thing before, and let's come up with creative solutions or ideas or things to implement to make it really get off the ground this time, to make it succeed this time, to make it come to full completion this time. So, yeah, I feel like that's your message. You have Venus and Pluto in your 12th, so there could be some subconscious um messaging and fears that does happen that could influence you at this time. So we just want to make sure that we don't allow those fears to crowd in from again the past events that have happened. We have to stay focused on like the solutions or why it didn't work and how to overcome it, what the positive thing that we want in our future is. Like there's a strong focus here on cultivating like a really discerning mind, because it could have been that you could have been involved in something that wasn't quite right. And so now we have to be, again, kind of discerning around how to make it right this time. And that Venus Pluto can be helpful for that if we don't let it kind of get in our head. So yeah, that's the messages I have for you, Pisces. Do we have any last questions for Pisces or comments around that? Does this relate to your partner, Jody? Is this relevant for them at all? And if you guys have any personal questions or anything that you're curious about, I think we do have to hop off in a few minutes, but I do have a little bit of time if you want to chat. I have a Pisces descendant, so I don't know, maybe this relates to like my relationship life as well. And I have definitely not have had I definitely have not had success in dating, so any advice is appreciated. All right, I guess thanks Courtney. Okay, thank you so much. Oh, you're in London. Oh my god, we're so close, Jody. We're literally just hours away. I was just in London the other day. Very cool. Well, I really appreciate you showing up, Jody, and everybody else. And I hope that you guys have a beautiful day and happy Capricorn new moon. Bye.